Okay, so now we're live. Okay, good. Uh, well, in a shocking turn of events, we're back game day live at DFI49. I'm Chris Woods, my cohort, Sebastian Lobo-Guerrero. We were able in the off season to renegotiate with DFI after the millions of viewers we've been bringing every year, and so we were able to quadruple our salaries for this year, which is a good thing. That has allowed us to bring the caliber of guests that we're going to start with today. A man that wears no name tag because he doesn't need one, Mr. Brad Keeler, the executive director of the Geo Institute. How are you, my friend?
I am great. I'm thrilled to be back at DFI. Did not attend last year. I was at National Harbor. I was in Chicago. Always a thrill to be here. I have the franchise tag at ASCE, so I'm hoping that being associated with you guys will help me.
Put some pressure.
I have a negotiation.
Put some pressure on your contact negotiations with ASD. I like it.
I'm
Okay.
getting paid the average of the top 5 executive directors in the league.
Well,
yes, we try to follow on that.
And as I pointed out, there are literally millions of viewers right now that will be able to vouch for the quality of the interview
comments, right? And say.
So excellent. Yeah, well, we got a little bit of a role reversal here, right? I mean,
it is,
you know, directors cut the various things you're doing, you know, to promote the GI. We've all been guests on your show, and now the tables have turned.
And it's a lot of fun.
How many people do you have had for the years?
We're on episode 190 tomorrow.
190
for director's cut. So it started 4 years ago this week with Anna Kotis from GeoComp. And since then, you know, the goal of director's cut, well, there are many goals, but one is to try to show the diversity of our membership in terms of, you know, senior people, junior people, geographic diversity, academics, practitioners, government, whatever. And to have the conversations that you don't get to have when you run into somebody at the coffee break at a conference.
Absolutely.
Maybe you talk about their kid for a minute, but you're probably not going to ask them. I'm trying to think what I asked either of you that wouldn't qualify.
I mean, we went down a rabbit hole.
And the niceties.
We went down a rabbit hole.
My pants off on that.
You did.
So
you took your pants off?
I did.
This is an amazing story if you've never heard it.
No, I have not heard this story.
Oh, it has to. We did I mean, I'll give you 10 seconds. You have to watch the episode, but we did
I'm not sure I do have to watch it, but let's go with the story.
We did a recon, and I end up, I mean, long story short, I end up having a lot of pigs. We stop on the turnpike on a plaza, and I go to the bathroom to check if I have more pigs, and I realize that I have a ton of pigs, something like 12 or something on my pants. So I decided that the best thing to do was just to ditch the pants. So I ditched the pants. I leave them on the plaza, in the Blue Mountain Plaza with all of in Pennsylvania. Got my phone on one hand, my wallet on the other one, and I walk out of the bathroom, boots, no pants, right, and a shirt. And the most amazing thing is nobody commented anything. Like, it absolutely means nothing there. And now I understand that sticker that they put saying like pants and whatever.
No shirt, no shoes, service.
So,
well, you know, this was the Pennsylvania Turnpike.
Yep.
It was, yeah.
Let's be honest. Is a guy walking around in boots and no pants that odd of a thing there?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, all right. Well, good. So you weren't at DFI last year in Seattle.
Christina was, but I wasn't.
Christina was
our technical manager extraordinaire, Christina Scott. That's something we can do here real quick.
Oh, we got to give Christina a shout out.
We got to give Christina a shout out.
That's it.
She's still on maternity leave. She'll be back very soon. She just welcomed her second child, Charlie, into the world. So now Evelyn has a baby brother and everybody's doing great. So you'll see Christina at a fun event in the geotech world near you soon. Also on the GI staff, we've got Tatiana Vlasova. She does all of our digital marketing and runs our student programs. She does a lot of different things. We have Elizabeth Casino, who does our customer service and just generally fixes things, knows the member database better than anybody else. We've got Lucy King, our conference manager, who makes sure that when we do events that they're not terrible and that they're wonderful for all of you out there. So you might want to go to one to ensure that soon. And we recently welcomed Aurora Flager, who recent graduate of James Madison University.
There you go.
She's going to be doing paper management and honors and awards, board support,
Well,
and
award. She's
producing our live stream.
yeah, if it's award, she's going to become very, very familiar with Sebastian very quickly, right? So,
So,
So
Well, that's
that's,
excellent.
I mean, that we can go there next.
sure.
You guys don't get asked a lot of questions on here.
no, we really don't. We
We don't
do
have-
the asking.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
That's our contract, right?
For both of you,
Okay.
most meaningful award that you've gotten, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a professional one, like
Okay.
from the industry, but in your lives, most meaningful award you've ever gotten. We're gonna have Sebastian go first and let you think about it, because I know he's ready to go.
Yes, yeah, I'm always. So I don't want to piss off any organization, but probably for me, the most meaningful one is well, two, I guess from ASE, and is the fellow, becoming a fellow like in recent weeks. That means a
Mhm.
lot. But probably the Lifetime Achievement Award, because I mean, I've been DFI, DFI member for a very long time, ASE member for a long time. And having, a Lifetime Achievement Award at age 43.
Right.
In
Right.
the world, right? I was like, man, I wish it came with the money to retire, but that's the problem. The award didn't come with that envelope.
Right.
So I was like, that's awesome. I get a Lifetime Achievement Award, but I still need to work, for like 20 years. So
Yeah,
I'm going now for a second one,
that's it.
We'll see, but there has to be, and then I'll give you a third one. You ask for one, I give you three, right? That's my way.
That's
So,
how
but
it works.
Obviously, the DFI President's Award, that obviously also meant the world to me. Obviously, DFI is very close to my heart. So, yeah, that's it. That's it. Chris, you go.
What do you got?
All right, so I would say it's two, and one's an award and one's an achievement. This past spring, I was able to go to Ireland to receive my registered engineer license in the Republic of Ireland. I'm an Irish citizen. I hold a passport. My daughter also holds an Irish passport, and I was able to go to the conferring ceremony and bring my daughter with me, who is, we'll go ahead and call her an aspiring engineer of some sort. I don't know where she's going to land. She's only a freshman in high school, but she's very interested in aerospace and mechanical engineering and things like that. And so, we're going to have several guests on between today and tomorrow that were here as recipients of the Women in Deep Foundation grant. And so for me, it was very important that she was able to come to this ceremony with me on the other side of the world and see all these women who were being honored within the engineering profession. And she was able to see that, there's a path for her there. And so I think in terms of an achievement, that really is probably pretty close to the top. And then I would have to say, I don't have nearly the amount of awards that Sebastian does, but 2 years ago, receiving the DFI President's Award
At
from
the same time, right?
from Mike Wasaki. Yeah,
And Mike Wasaki gave it. to
Mike
us.
Wasaki. Yeah, it's because look, we all have in this business, like no one's completely altruistic, right? We all have ulterior motives, and I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way, right? We get involved in things for a lot of different reasons. Part of it's the fulfillment of being involved with these various organizations, but part of it is also visibility, marketing, right? There's a lot of different angles, but for DFI to recognize the effort, that I was putting into the organization, like that was kind of a cool thing from an award standpoint. So,
Which every episode of Director's Cut has a plea, right? And so I can't come on here without issuing a plea.
See what this guy's doing? He's
To our
talking
viewers.
it's okay. He's gonna get a bill for this for
That's
the
what,
market.
He's gonna kick us out, and the guests are gonna come in our seat.
That's it. We just lost our job. We
That's
just lost our
what
job.
we in the business call professionalism right there. So for all of our viewers out there, and it doesn't matter whether you're GI, DFI, ADSC, PDCA, whatever, some other organization, we desperately need your nominations for
Yes. No,
awards
that's a
every
good point.
year.
That's a good
I
point.
think people kind of take it for granted that somebody is always going to be there to nominate other people for the awards. And honestly, it doesn't happen.
No,
Like
it's-
we're fortunate that we're always able to give awards to deserving candidates, but the more nominations, the better.
Yes.
And you know what? I think you guys might be able to speak a little bit to this as well. when people even get nominated for
It's
an
an honor
award,
in
if
itself,
they
yeah.
find out that they didn't even get it, it's still a big deal.
It is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
right. Because that means their peers had to do that.
Correct.
Exactly.
And so people take a lot of
somebody-
pride in that.
Yes,
Absolutely.
correct. No, and I mean, I absolutely encourage everyone to apply, to nominate colleagues. And if
Yeah.
if they want to nominate somebody, but they don't have a friend in mind or something,
Yeah.
nominate me. I'm perfectly fine. But
Okay, so then I'll stop and you guys can resume
yes,
asking
yes,
questions.
Yes. Because I have a lot of stuff that I want to learn about him that I have never known.
Oh, wow.
So-
Look, we got
Let's-
we got about 3 minutes left. He's been taking
Come in
the-
close.
the
I thought I
questions here.
had till 3:35. I got 8 minutes.
You got till 3:30. What are you talking about 3:35?
Get him extra, man.
Okay, well, he's gonna have to fight Paul
All right,
when we're done here.
Let's
but-
go.
Yes. So
All right, hit him.
all right, well, let's talk about director's cut. I think it's interesting because definitely when GI, when we start doing things like this, like podcasts and things, Jared definitely was a pioneer in some respect, right? He was doing the Engineering Management Institute, but you also, I mean, and I have told you many times, to me, the way that you turn the Geo Institute around is amazing. Like I have been a GI member forever. I don't know, 23 years, 20 years. And I mean, I always like it and I always love it. But since you arrived, I remember meeting you in Pittsburgh because you wanted to go and meet every single chapter in the country, right? So you put an
Still
effort,
haven't made it, but
and
You're
I'm
trying.
catching up, and I'm catching up with him. because- so, but anyway, you went to Pittsburgh, right? And you expressed that. And I remember, like, you also brought like pins of Geo Institute, and you gave it to past presidents. You definitely, in my opinion, you have been the person that integrated us from the local to the national, and that is all on credit. That's one great thing that you did. But another thing that I credit you a lot is you completely changed the format, right? And put us on now Director's Cut and Geostrata Extra, and then doing a lot of broadcasts and stuff. And that's something that the Geo Institute never did. So how all that started? I mean, what was on your mind? when
Well,
you started all?
so honestly, it started my first job. We redid our intranet and it was super boring. Like every company's intranet is super boring. And so I thought, what can I do to make this more fun? And so I started doing an interview on paper with a different staff member every month. And it was crazy questions. Like I would have them explain what they did for work and everything, just so everybody in the office would get to know them. But then it would be stuff like if you were trapped in a cave for eternity, like what 3 things would you want to have in there with you? And I mean, that's really for director's cut. That's where that came from, right? So I started doing that in 2003.
Wow.
But also it came from when I worked at the British Embassy, we would have Friday questions
How'd you
and I would come up with
how'd
these
you pass a
crazy
how'd
questions.
you pass a background check? Well,
They
we don't need to
laughed
get into
at
that.
me.
We don't
They
need to get
laughed
into
at me.
That time,
'cause-
he didn't have the footprint he has on the internet.
Yeah, there you go.
Funny.
Exactly. The Geostrata Extra was a natural thing. I was like, we have this magazine. I'm sure at some point people are writing these articles and they leave things out. They go a different direction than they
Sure.
thought they were going to
Yeah,
originally. Like, why don't we tell that story? And I mean, what other ones? The Geo Legends videos.
Yes.
That one came from looking for an interview with Ralph Peck and realizing that all we had was that one engineering judgment video,
Yeah.
which is amazing, but it's only that one thing. And I thought, wouldn't it be terrible if all these people who are legendary in the field, left us and we didn't have any record of them as people?
Mhm.
Yes, and you know what? On that, I go back to even Jean Louis in Texas A&M because he had the vision in 1993 to record the Buchanan Lecture, right?
Yeah.
With Ralph Peck. And I mean,
He
I-
knew YouTube was coming.
This is when you know I'm weird, man. So my wife, like always said, every 6 months or whatever, right? I decided to go back and watch it again because I don't know if you have watched it, but it's basically Ralph
It's-
Peck in 1993
Yeah.
telling the story of Carter Sagan, right? And
Mhm.
it's an awesome video. So I watch it over and over and over. She's always like, "You watched that thing already." Like,
But you have to. I think every
have to
time
watch
you watch something like that, you pick up something different. You
Yes.
hear,
Yes.
in that case,
Yeah.
you hear Ralph say something a little bit
Yes.
differently than maybe you heard initially. Even him, the way he would put an accent on a
Correct.
different word, right?
Yes.
You pick up
Or
on
even
that.
the questions at the end, right? Like
Yes.
for years, I never really listened to the questions at the end, and then I started listening. And what we did, like last week, right? The Tersagi Day, it was inspired a lot into that, right? Because me watching that, I wanted to also have like a GI video that was gonna be like that people could look later and say, this is the story of Terzaghi with the pictures and stuff like that. So no, it is pretty cool. I mean, I have told you 100 times. I think what you are doing is great. And all of these that we have right now, it's obviously also a product of that, of Jared doing his podcast,
Yeah.
you doing your stuff. Obviously here at DFI, we were looking what you guys were doing. And,
Yep.
and we thought, okay, we can do, we're not gonna copy you, we're just gonna do something better. I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, like we can do something different that is also applied to the DFI community, and it doesn't really have to,
Well, I think
He
even the
said
way,
he could do it.
even the way that DFI has gone about it, right? Because like when I start something,
Mhm.
the intent is usually that I'm just going to do it forever. Like unless there's some great
Right.
tragedy
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
befalls
right,
us,
right.
right? And the way that DFI has done series like that
Yes.
with
Mhm.
6
Exactly.
episodes
Yeah.
and then move on,
Yeah.
that's really something
That's how it
different.
is.
That's it.
That's
Oh, I like it.
That's how it
I'm obsessed, man. You gotta
But
watch
now
it all.
explain the other 2 views that the videos have, right?
That's
What is
it. That's it. All right. We gotta wrap up for our next guest. Before you leave, why don't you hit us with what events are coming up for GI? Why don't we do that?
And I was born ready for this.
That's it.
I mean, so first we'll talk about the regional conferences, right?
Okay.
It's fall regional conference season with our chapters. Connecticut's already had theirs. We've got Orvis coming up in a few weeks. Well, actually, that's the last one. So we'll go in chronological order. The Hershey Conference, which if you've
Yep.
never been, you gotta go. In Hershey,
Mhm.
Pennsylvania, usually they'll pull close to 600 attendees, 75 exhibitors. After that, the Rocky Mountain Geotech Conference is right here in the Denver area
All right.
on November 1st. Geostructures Confluence in St. Louis is that same
Yep.
week. Well,
He
we
hasn't
can
got
get
there yet.
Orvis, which is the Ohio River Valley Soil Symposium, is in Cincinnati on November 13th. After that, you've got the Geostructures Conference, first Earth Retaining Structures Conference from GI in 14 years
All right.
in Pittsburgh the week before Thanksgiving. We would love to see everybody there. We have the GI Web Conference coming up the first week of December. You can register for that from wherever you are or might be. And then we get into the spring regional conference season. And the big one for us is Geotechnical Frontiers
In Louisville.
in Louisville,
Yep. There we
Kentucky.
go.
Geo Congress 25 plus the Geosynthetics Conference plus the Geo Environment Conference that was originally scheduled for Portland. So a lot of goodies there. You want to be at all those places, geoinstitute.org. Go to the YouTube channel, follow us on social
YouTube
media.
channel. Absolutely. That's where
See, and I didn't even plant that question. Like you were ready to go with that.
It's always ready.
You always have to be ready in life.
That's it. My friend,
Guys,
And he only
Thanks
used
for kicking
one
us
gun.
off.
That's great.
thanks for making,
Ah,
well, now I'm
thank
going to
you.
go, I got a Blackberry one over there too.
That's it. All right, who we
Many,
got? We
many
got
wishes.
For
we
his
got-
favorite singer, right?
My
Michael
favorite
Bublé.
singer?
Yes.
No, you
The
know what?
role model
But we are going to
like
do
Michael Bublé.
top
And-
five favorite bands of all time. We're going to do that real quick. We're going to go out on that. We're going to go Fugazi, legendary DC punk band. We're going to go Smashing Pumpkins. I love
Yes,
Smashing
love it.
Pumpkins since the beginning. We're going to go Sonic Youth. We're going to go Dinosaur Jr. And I don't know who number 5 is today, but we'll give you the 4. That's
There
good
you
enough.
go.
No, Blur. Oh my God.
Oh, yes.
I'm so embarrassed. I forgot Blur. That's
Thank you
the
very
top
much.
5.
Thanks for
Thank
joining
you,
us,
guys.
man.
We're a little too close together.
We
Thanks
have
a
to
lot.
be.
Take out the.
All right, Paul. Excellent. So while we wait for Paul, important to let everyone know that Pete Alonso just hit a home run and the Mets are up 1-0. So let's focus on what's really important today. The Mets are in the playoffs. All right. Ready to pull up? All right. Paul,
Hello.
introduce yourself to our millions of
Hi.
viewers.
Are you?
Hi. So my name is Paul Thurlow. I'm the VP of the Western region of Geo Instruments, which is a subdivision of Keller Foundation. So
All
we
right.
basically do instrumentation for geotechnical processes, rentals,
There we go.
and pretty much anything else that you want to put an instrument on, we'll do it.
Really, trust me, there are literally millions of viewers on the other side of that camera every year. So, all right. So, we were thinking about it. We saw you yesterday and yeah, let's have you on the show. And then we look back as we were getting ready for this year and it's like, we haven't had any people in instrumentation
No.
on the
Yeah,
show.
right.
And now it turns out we have back to back, we have you and then Emma joining us, but
Yes.
she'll be here in her capacity as new chair of
Different roles.
Yeah.
of WIDIF.
Okay.
But
Well, you know, they're all married together, foundations,
Absolutely.
Monitoring.
geotechnical structures, and you know, so my passion always has been for many years is the verification of design of the design using instrumentation.
So
Okay.
let's start there. Walk us through your career a little bit. How have you
No, no,
got?
yeah, but let's go back because
Oh, you
I
always want
hear,
to go back. All
I
right.
mean, when you
Go
hear
right
an
ahead.
accent, you have to elaborate, right? So where were you were born? How you were-
Texas, no, I'm British. I moved over here 8 years ago.
But I mean, you did all your, school over there, university there.
Yeah, no, actually, I'm a tools up guy. So I did all my university that I needed for my career on the road. So I used to do
Okay.
Excellent. So,
correspond-
and then you worked there for a while, I imagine, and then came to the States.
Yeah, I was so the kind of history in a nutshell. This is my 41st year in geotechnics,
All right.
in some capacity.
40
41st.
41st.
So I
started.
I started 18 in the soils laboratory in the Middle East.
But you're almost 60.
Yeah, I am 60. I am. Yeah. So
You don't look a day under
Uh,
26, maybe.
the day older,
Make it up.
day older than 62.
Well,
Man,
what is
I
the
got some
difference?
work to do.
Happiness and
All right.
Happiness, you know,
So
soil,
let's go
rubbing
back.
soil into my face
Yeah,
every
That's
morning.
it.
So okay, so you work, and then what brought
So,
you to the States?
okay, so for many years I kind of had I did soil testing for 2 years. Then I loved site investigation drilling.
Okay.
So I was helping out a few guys in the company, helping them out, and they all kind of retired and left. So I ended up running the drilling business in the Middle East for a couple of
Okay.
years. And so, two key things there is that appreciating having good information from a soil investigation.
Yes.
And that was a lesson that was drummed into me as a young guy. And then later on in life, when I was actually kind of doing estimating and design, the borehole logs, you could sniff straight away when somebody had kind of, oh, it's a late shift, I want to go, and looking at SPT values, understanding what they are. So any young engineer listening to this, I'm sure there's millions of them.
Millions.
Millions.
Yeah,
Literally
millions
millions.
is that if you can have a chance to work in a soils laboratory or for a good site investigation company.
Yep.
Later on in your career, you'll appreciate it a
Oh,
lot better.
absolutely. Yeah, I completely. agree.
Yeah, and you'll understand borehole logs, you'll understand design better, how soils work. So anyway, so after that, I arrived, I got a trainee engineer's job. Basically, they needed somebody to run around and do everything. That was trainee engineers back in 87 for Bashi in the UK.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah, so they're starting up. So my mentor was David Sherwood, and so they had just bought Europile in Sweden, which is a precast company, because
Okay.
Bashi wanted to do precast piling in the UK. It was a new market for them. So I got sent over there to learn about precast piling, setting up a precast factory, catwap, weep,
Okay. Wait,
and high strain testing, the PDA.
Uh-huh.
And this was in its infancy. These were the first couple of years when PDAs were being used. So I had a
wow,
Brit, I had a
that's
Brit.
fascinating.
So I
Because
had-
you were on that market
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
right
So
time.
I had a brilliant time learning that, and then I came back to England, and at the time we're trying to do static load tests and catwaps at the same time. So we did. There's only two of us in the UK that had the machinery, and at that time, it was something like £100,000
Okay.
at about 72 dials. If you remember
Okay.
the early ones, had all these rotary
Yeah.
dials that you had to switch in, and then you
Yeah.
put the formula in with a little punch code. So I had one of those, and it was so precious, I had to sleep with it. So everywhere I was going on these jobs, they gave me this van with locks on, and I don't want to leave it in the car park. It's the only one, at the time PDI were making them. There was like a 15-week lead in or something like that. So
Right.
me and this other guy from another company, we went around all the British Isles doing static load tests,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then we'd do a catwap straight afterwards.
Okay.
So we'll mobilize the pile straight afterwards. We built this database, and the last one I did was actually on the Channel Tunnel.
Oh wow, that's
so
awesome.
so all of the outbuildings on the Channel Tunnel held
Okay.
precast piles. But what nobody told the contractors, that they didn't remove the old seawall. So they put about 40 piles in a row, and they all broke. And it was only from the PDA, from using the PDA,
Yes.
that we could find
That you
out,
were able to.
detect where what depth it was. They excavated and they found the old wall.
Okay.
Wow.
Anyway, so we did that, and we, myself and a lot of other engineers, or my bosses, we published a paper which was kind of one of the leading papers about using catwap and PDA.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
So yeah, it was instrumental in getting into the specifications in the UK.
Okay.
That happened a couple of years ago, and then I moved on to other things: diaphragm walling, compensation grouting, So I did that for many years with Bashi and then Bashi Solitonch. We did compensation grouting was really my kind of key because we were doing a job for the Jubilee line, which was grouting underneath the Ritz Hotel so that they could dig a tunnel.
Steam project.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I could see if you're talking compensation grouting and all that, I see where we're going with how you ended up now
Yeah, I'm
into
just,
the modern
I'm
age. I see where
just,
it is.
I'm
I
just
see
on
where
the
it's
brink.
going.
I'm just on the brink.
Yep.
Anyway, so the Ritz Hotel on one side, and then you got the bank, Barclays Bank, which is the biggest bank in London, which is the main kind of treasury for them.
Yep.
So we had then, so they did. If you ever go to St James's in London on the Metro, you'll see this tunnel that they hand dug between these two buildings, and so you had a shaft at one end, and we did this compensation grouting. There's a guy called Martin Beth from, he's now with Sixth Sense. So we were young engineers, and
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever been on a hand dug tunnel. They're very long.
Okay.
So you have a lot of time to play around with stuff. So we said, oh, we got all these IPIs in. So we these IPIs at the time were in their infancy. They would drift about, a couple of feet a day. So we had these horizontal IPIs just to make sure that when we were grouting, we weren't pushing the buildings up.
Right.
So we said, oh, right. And we had CAD 3D at the time. So we then started making instrumentation data into bubbles and
Okay.
grout bubbles. So we did our first 3D instrumentation software, which is now, if you go for Sixth Sense, they have the software. That was how that was invented
Wow,
all those
really?
years ago. So then we got into putting instrumentation on buildings, and the job was a great success. After that, at the time, Bashi had a JV with 5 other companies for Copenhagen Metro Phase 1.
Okay.
Okay.
And so they said, well, we'll divvy it up. There was a settlement control thing. You've done some instrumentation. You look after that. So I looked after that for 3 years, which was pretty easy in Denmark. But there was a lot of station boxes using hard sequent walls
Okay.
in rock, but very nice, very close to timber pile buildings. So with the dewatering,
Right.
the water level was coming down, and these buildings were moving.
Yeah, right.
So that was a bit of a problem. And then suddenly the TBM was slower. So the station box that we're digging in this urban area, they came across some old battlements. So that stopped. So the progress of the TBM and the station box was kind of critical.
Okay.
So, and this is the time when the observational method was becoming very popular in England. So Powderman had issued his book, and we're all kind of reading it. So I said, right, we've got to get this box down without any propping. We're propping the 2 levels. We need to get it down to the bottom without propping. So we applied all the methods of the observational method, having the gear on site just in case. And then we got these electronic IPIs, and at the time it was dial-up modem.
Yes.
So we had to try and figure out how to keep the modem on all the time. And as I was digging, we're watching these IPIs. So if we had all these safety kind of movement levels in there, and as they were coming close, part of the observation method is actually put your gear in. But they dug it really well, got down to the bottom, the TBN came through. So that was a very early kind of stage of observational method using IPIs. So again, advice for engineers going forward, what goes around comes around, because that's all I've been doing for the rest of my career, is working on boxes with, instrumentation. And
I mean, you've touched on, listening to the path of your career. I mean, it's stuff I harp on when I have the opportunity to do this stuff. People put a mic in front of me, kind of thing. What's your opinion, right? What should the young engineers be doing? And I'm very big on harping on being in the field. I mean, you touched on a couple different things, right? Between the load testing, the working for a driller, the soils lab, the other stuff. To me, you can't work in this industry. You can't be a design engineer if you haven't been out getting your boots dirty, seeing how stuff gets built.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you can come to a design office or an estimating office as well. Unless you've got that experience,
I think it's what you said. I mean, it's the 3. You need to study, of course, the stuff, but then you need to spend a lot of time on the lab, right? You need to learn the materials, test, do all that. It will pay later, as you were mentioning, and also on the field, right? You have to be on the construction sites and stuff. So otherwise, you will be incomplete on what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, working in London, I mean, at the time I didn't know it, but you're looking at triaxial tests in a laboratory, the clays and shear tests. you had no idea, but then years later you think, oh, when you're designing compensation grouting packages, it all becomes very apparent.
It becomes clear.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
so
like
you,
the different elements finally connect, and you see.
yeah,
oh,
and
everything.
that's the beauty of it. And I said, so going to university, I don't think I needed that because I got such
No, you
Yeah.
got that training.
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
Absolutely.
and the things I needed. I mean, I kind of treated myself to a course of saw mechanics at City University, which was just like really great because you
Yeah.
kind of verifying the stuff
Yeah.
that I'd learned and seeing how these top guys were using it for their research. Like the centrifuge tests that we're doing in Cambridge University, in clays.
It's awesome because you live like a very interesting era, right? Like in the UK, like when a lot of things were happening
Oh, yeah.
in terms of instrumentation.
Yeah.
And you were talking about Bori and his books and stuff like that. And it's a beautiful era where a lot of things develop. And you were like doing the projects.
Yeah, and you're actually
the Ritz and I mean, it like,
Yeah, that's
it's
cool
exciting.
stuff.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a very,
and actually to meet these people, to actually meet these people who are
yeah.
issuing all these papers, and then they come to the site, and then you can, the practicalities. There was one on compensation grouting where there was a theory that you should grout in the volume that you grouted out, but actually then I was saying we're all bored on this job, so we were actually treating the ground a couple of liters a day, so it was stiffening up over time. So actually, when they started tunneling, our kind of injection process was very, very small. So instead of having this huge kind of wavy, excavate fill, we just had this very continuous filling all the time. So that was another theory that we came up with the compensation grouting. So which was adopted by Bashi and other companies.
So let's go back into how that connect that you end up in the States, and I guess specifically with DFI. When did you learn about DFI? How you got involved?
So I was coming. Keller always had an instrumentation. We did Crossrail, and from that we had to form a new instrumentation company to help us win that because we had the compensation go back. So at the time, I did that for 2 years. We built up the company, won the work, built up a team. And then with the connection with Keller and at the time Hayward Baker, I was told last minute, hey, you're going to Keller have this fantastic PM conference every couple of years. Now all the PMs come from all over the US and they invite guests. And to get on that guest list you got to do something pretty convincingly good. So Crossrail was quite successful. So you want to come along and do an hour's talk? So I did the hour's talk, and in the bar afterwards on the flight home, I was kind of had about 11 queries from Hayward Baker guys. Hey, we want some instrumentation on this job. So we started kind of servicing from England, and then I did that for a couple of years. We tried to make an instrumentation division out of our own people for another few years. And all those times I kept coming to, because I was involved in geotechnics in America through Hayward Baker. That I'd get an invite to the DFI. So I'd come. I think I've done a couple of papers over the years. I presented on jobs, and then after a while we realized we couldn't kind of self-generate it. So we've done some work with Pierre Gavin from Geo Instruments, kind of two competing companies, and so there was a good tie in there. So we thought the acquisition of Geo Instruments would be great, and I'd finished in London. The kids are growing up, so. I got on a plane to California, graciously gave me a job here, and I came over, and
here we are.
Wow,
here we
that's
are.
amazing,
So,
man.
I've been to every DFI.
I guess
conference
from
since.
the family point of view, I mean, they move with you.
No, the kids.
Or they were already like
the
at an
kids.
age
The kids were at an age where
say old, but since you
Yeah,
were 60,
yeah,
right? Imagine your
okay,
kids
but
were
yeah, I
already
ca-
grown
that's
up
it.
when.
I came with my wife, but the major reason was when I was coming here before I moved here, it was I had all these crazy ideas we're doing in London.
Yeah.
For Crossrail.
Yeah.
And a really good example is I gave a talk for the shape arrays we put underneath the TBM at London because we're coming up to some very kind of sensitive structures, and we didn't want to find out when we're at the structures, that the bearing the pressures on the TBM were too high and would damage them. So we put in all this instrumentation, 500 foot before they got to us, so we could actually view what the ground was doing at the top and 4 foot above the TBM. So I get that talk, and immediately straight out the audience, somebody from Metro came and said, "We've got a job just like that where we're struggling in LA. Can we have 2 of those?" So
There you go.
so we put them in. It was it was an arduous job to put them in. We put them in, but the beauty of it, as I'm going back again, is using that data to improve productivity. So we got the TBM on one TBM underneath the building, which was contentious with lawyers and everything. Got that through. And from that data, they could see, how quickly they could start, some of the pitfalls, going too fast.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
on the second one, they got through there twice the speed. So again, it was data, to be used for productivity.
Got it. Got it.
So,
All right.
Man, that's pretty.
and then we're here.
Excellent. Well,
Yes, thank you very much for
we
sharing. all this,
appreciate
man.
you.
That's-
We appreciate it's
is
it's
really
always
fascinating.
fascinating to hear people's
Right.
career path and how they get from
Yeah. Well,
point A to point B with all the sub points in between. You know?
yeah, but young engineers, you got to experience everything.
No, absolutely.
and
I
it's
completely agree.
it's
And it's great that you are doing all this. I mean, what you were mentioning, like in your career, that doing that presentation brought you these other
Yeah,
projects,
yeah.
right? I mean, it's great that you need to share all this, right? And obviously there is some business that will come out of, but there is also a lot of education for others, right? And that in itself is very valuable. right?
Absolutely.
It's
yeah. I
important.
would agree with you on that one.
important to share experience. I mean, and that's really what this conference is about, right? It's
Yep.
sharing experiences. And
It always has
That's it.
been, and that's why our company has always supported the DFI. We don't do a lot of
appreciate it.
we don't do a lot of file, but we do pile testing and bits and pieces
Yeah.
that related to it. And yeah, well, thanks for having me
Thanks for
on.
coming.
Excellent. man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
It was definitely
All
a
right.
nice conversation.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Did I make a bad noise? I hit the mic by accident. That's all right. Emma, you ready? That's it. Right. Doing good. Madam Committee Chair. Yeah,
Yes,
we're
yes.
always live, and don't get nervous, but there's millions of people
Millions.
Yeah.
watching.
We
Literally
have a
millions.
selection of beverages for you.
Oh,
Can offer you from our unofficial sponsor, Easy.
but not these beverages
Those cannot be touched because
because the Mets are winning 1-0, and we're multitasking here. You see what
Yeah,
I'm
you
saying?
have to multitask in this day and age.
That's it.
If you're not multitasking, you're behind.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Why don't you introduce yourself to the millions of viewers?
Yeah, let me scooch up properly.
There you go.
here. Okay, so I am Emma Mignalt. I am with World Sensing. And as of tomorrow, or as of yesterday, sorry,
Yes.
as of tomorrow, geez. As of yesterday, I am the chair of the Women in Deep Foundations Technical Committee. So
Wow,
Well,
that's
congratulations.
important.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
thank
That
you very
is-
much.
Yeah, we had a big event last night. The 10-year anniversary of the formation of the
Yes,
committee.
exactly. 10 years. We got to have that WIDF reception to celebrate the 10 years and also the 5 grant winners that we had
Yeah.
here at DFI49. So it was really fun.
Yeah,
Did
we have
you
a
guys have a good time?
beautiful time.
Always,
Okay.
no, I mean,
I
I
forgot
think-
I forgot my tuxedo, but
Yes, I also.
I was not red carpet ready. But
No, but I mean, I think it's really meaningful, and obviously, you are like feeling big shoes, right? Because like the people that have passed, like we did an episode at the beginning of the year with Mary Ellen, like going through the history of women in the foundations.
Yeah.
And the committee, and I mean, like the pioneers that have come. Not trying to stress you up, but the pioneers that have come before you, like Rocky, Mary Ellen, Helen, and it's. I mean, definitely people that are leaders in the industry, and it's
Yeah.
great to see not only how the committee grew, but also the people in the community. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Yeah.
committee itself, but also the leaders
Well-
that we have. So that's awesome. And congratulations, because I really think it's pretty cool. I think that you represent a lot of good stuff from DFI from your beginnings, because you have been involved with DFI in different capacities, and you have been the winner of different things. So I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit about that, like how your involvement with DFI started and
Yeah.
what you have seen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, one of the things that came out of our committee meeting yesterday, when we were together in the morning, we went around and introduced everyone that was there for the in-person meeting and the folks that called in online. And the amount of people that said, this is my name, I'm so-and-so. And I got involved because of Mary Ellen or because
Yes,
of Lucky
exactly.
or
Yeah.
because of Heather.
That's
Yep.
not.
Yeah, it's having members like that, having leaders like that have gone in to, DFI at large and found people that would benefit from it and pulled it in, including myself. So I think, Mary Ellen was one of the first people I met when I came to DFI. And of course she was, happy to make introductions and happy to say, oh,
Yeah.
I think you would like this. And that's when I got started with the Women in Deep Foundations Committee. And then as soon as you get into it, you're given all these opportunities to
Sure.
do really fun things that they're about. And encouraged by the members there to explore the other technical committees and see what interests you. So it really kind of sparked a good start for me in
an
DFI.
interest. Yeah, and some of the work you guys have been doing. I mean, it's a and maybe this is probably something I've been paying attention to more. I have a daughter that's a freshman in high school that's likely going down some kind of engineering
Yes.
path, right? I doubt she's going into the family business, but it's so it kind of makes me more in tune and aware, and there is definitely something about being at the DFI events where there are just inherently there are way more women that you see at our events than some of the other industry events you can go to. And what you guys have done over a 10-year span, and it's only going to keep going, is really, I think, important stuff. Like, again, for my daughter, some of the exposure I've had with her is she has to be able to see, and I think it's kind of what you were saying with having some of the people that are already in the industry, you have to see a path for yourself.
Absolutely.
And so it helps to see these others that have been doing it. So that's very cool.
Tell us about the exciting things that are happening on the Women in the Foundations. I mean, one of the main things that for me, that are offered is like the grant for professional, young professionals. I have helped, I believe, 5 young, women from the company that I work to get those, right? And
Right.
nominate here and do them, do like letters of reference and things like that, like helping them on all the way. And it's great to see the effect that has had on their career. So now it's great that we're expanding, right? Now we're gonna have 3 more scholarships, I believe.
Yeah.
And which is great. Like we're growing this to help more, right? Which is awesome.
Exactly. So with, the 5 amazing women that we were able to bring to this conference, we had so many applicants for those
Sure.
grants, and it was,
So here, how many
Yeah.
applicants you end up having this time?
I think it was the high 30s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear
Yeah.
yesterday 40, but it was late at the war, so I don't know if the accuracy of the war.
Yeah, but
Of the numbers.
at the end of the night, it was
Same.
50.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
a high number.
Yeah. And, so it's,
45.
yeah. And with that in mind, we said, this is really a chance that we should take to find ways that we can bring more in. We can, issue more of these professional development grants for the 50. And so that's what we were doing. We've been kind of around everyone all the time to fundraise for that effort and
Absolutely.
to get, and we've had some
Yeah.
very wonderful and generous donors.
Well,
Um,
let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fundraising efforts and how can people help. So, I mean, right now, of course, at the conference, we have the pins, right?
mhm.
10-year pin, so you can give a donation on that. I believe it's what, $25, and then you get the pin.
Yep.
What other ways can members help? And even if it's not just money, but like with the POTS program and things
Mhm.
like that, like in your view, how a DFI member can help this committee? Like, what will be
Yeah.
the path?
I mean, just to think about that aspect, quickly, the professional development grants, what we're looking at here with some fundraising options with the pins and the headbands that we've done. And that's great. And we really appreciate that, and the lanyards. And but also thinking about these grants is that we do want to make sure that people know about them, because we have been getting a
Yes.
lot of applicants, but we know that there are still a lot of people out there that might not
don't even
know.
know it
That does-
exists.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And so it's finding those opportunities where people can go back to, the company that they're from and different offices that they know that they
Sure.
work with, and, share that news, because we try and, branch that out and get it to the people so that you can say, oh, this is a great thing for this young professional or that young professional,
Right.
suggest it to them, or maybe they find it and they take that initiative. But we could always get to more people, right?
Mhm.
And give them the option to apply. So,
All right. So,
yeah.
so in the beginning you said tomorrow, but you meant yesterday.
Yeah.
The two can often be the same thing sometimes. Like tomorrow may feel like yesterday. But
I
all
mean,
to
it's-
say, you're in charge of the committee now.
yes.
So you take over a committee. You want to put your,
Sure.
you want to, there you go.
Guys,
Oh, yeah.
X.
There we go.
Thank-
You want to, yeah, we have a lot of formality around here with what we're doing. But no, so you've assumed the helm of the Women in Deep Foundation
Mhm.
Committee. You have a 10-year look back upon, but what are the important things now? You talked with the committee yesterday.
Mhm.
As the chair, what are some of the things you want to work on, and where do you want to see the committee go?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that we had talked about after we took that kind of retrospective look back at a lot of the initiatives we have is how we can progress and build off of them.
Mhm.
So one of those things that we brought up, and we're still kind of getting those ideas of what we can do the next 6 months and the next year and
Yep.
the year after that. But one of those is looking towards leadership.
Okay.
Those ways that we can help the members of the committee and other women in the industry look to the opportunities and trainings that can help them negotiate and in regards to salary, in regards to promotion. Help people go in to something like a performance review and have a plan and a
confident about it,
strategy.
yeah.
The confidence, interaction, the communication where they can take their career to the next level and really advance and find leadership positions when that's something that they want.
And I mean, and that just builds off some of the things that you guys have championed already with the resume, reviews and the mock interviews and things like that. So just different steps along the way of your
Exactly.
career.
Exactly. So
all right.
I think that should be a good one. And we also, want to take some opportunities too to further connect our members because we love getting together and having our committee meetings. But there's a couple regions where we have, a bunch of members that want to get together and do some regional meetups where they can do
Okay.
That's a great,
fun
yeah,
things.
that's,
Yeah.
and I know that has been successful in the past, even just with calls, right? Even, I mean, obviously, it's better if you can meet in person, but even if it's just team calls or something like that, that can bring people together, right? And help, like mentoring. It's kind of like what you were mentioning at the beginning. It's like in your case, right? You describe how you came here and it was like you have a mentor and at some point you realize you become the mentor, right? It's like the roles are reversed.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, it's great to see where things are going. Very excited for all this stuff that you're gonna bring.
Yeah.
in the next few years,
I think
right?
it should be really good. And well, now that I have you both here with me, no, it's your show. If there is something that you have,
It's very debatable as to
Yeah.
whether or not this is actually our show.
Yes.
We lose control of this thing all the time. You mean, I don't know if you were here when Brad was here, but he started doing the interview.
He hijacked it.
He hijacked the total
He
show.
asked like personal questions and then Chris started talking about his daughter. Like, at what moment this became personal?
That's
about
it.
us?
yeah.
That's it. So,
Well, yeah, so the perfect time for me to ask you a personal question. No, if you had to think of something that comes to mind for us as a committee that you would think would be a great initiative or you see a need for, is there something that comes to mind or?
well, I'm going to be selfish.
Yeah.
I'm going to be selfish because Women in D Foundations, there's a lot of different phases. There's the 20+ year veteran women, there's
Yeah.
middle career women, there's the
Mhm.
entry level that are trying to figure out what the hell, what way is up. But then there's also the students. And
Yeah.
so this is a shameless plug for my committee now.
Okay.
And I mean, you listened, you sat for an hour yesterday and there's
Yeah.
unbelievable energy and unbelievable ideas, but we got to harness that with what we can do realistically with the resources we have available to us. So that, getting, the efforts that you guys have had as a committee, the efforts that we're trying to stand up as a committee, there's too much synergy there to not
Mhm.
bring that energy together and try and help the organization and really the industry as a whole. So that's my selfish answer
No,
to help with the student aspect of what we're
Mhm.
trying to
I
do
agree,
here.
and I'm also on Chris's committee, and I mean, I do see a lot of, because we're mixing two things, right? Women in the foundations, and obviously it's trying to bring a part of the market that we have that has been in not same conditions, right? But at the same time, we're trying to bring more students, right?
Yes.
But if you think about it, it's like a cycle because obviously from the students that we're trying to bring, and if you take any engineering program in the country, the percentage of female compared to male is
Right.
it's low. So I think that by us reaching to the universities, that's great, but also bringing and showcasing like the women in the foundations, it also helps to motivate more students. So
I think
because-
I think the two are not,
they're really
they're not at
connected.
odds. They're,
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, hopefully in the future they will not need to be like at some point that is now, like I remember like Helen saying this many years ago, and even Hannah when she was in the committee, she was like, the goal is at some point the Women in the Foundation disappears. as a committee.
Doesn't exist.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's the ultimate goal. We don't want
Yeah.
to celebrate the 100 years of this committee. The
Right.
more we celebrate years, it means that we have not accomplished.
We're
the
not
goal.
doing our
Yeah.
job. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
So, but for the time being, I think they can benefit tremendously, right?
Mhm.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. We realized, we were talking about this a little bit last night as we were getting ready for today, that we do a lot of the talking and we do all the question. And this is now a couple guests in a row where we've been getting asked
Yes, I know.
the questions,
Before-
like
yeah,
the
I was
reverse,
getting it. We were
the reverse.
ones really-
Usually,
But what I love is when it gets personal to us. And like
Well,
when
and-
you were talking about your daughter, and it's like, what moment this became, what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
well, and the thing is, I mean, Jessica's been helping us with this now for 4 years, and I can see her start cringing on the other side of the camera when we generally start getting asked questions, because then that's just more opportunity for something inappropriate to come out of our mouths. So anyway, Emma, thank you.
Thank you
We're
so
going to take a picture with him.
We gotta
Oh, we're gonna take a
together.
picture.
Yeah.
Amy is taking-
Well, you can take a picture of your face too. That's nice. That's it. Oh, all the angles.
Yeah, I
Wow.
like that.
Thank
That's
you.
it. You,
Perfect.
Thank
you
you
realize
very
you're going to be on LinkedIn, YouTube,
Yes,
Instagram,
Everywhere.
all within the next 38 seconds.
Yeah. Do we
while
have,
I'm doing the show, right?
While he's doing the show, you will be everywhere.
is there a TikTok?
Not yet, but we can work on that, right?
He will have that
Perfect.
by the end of the next
Yes.
guest.
Perfect.
Yeah.
No,
Perfect.
but thank you
Awesome.
very much for coming and spending time with us, and congratulations again.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Enjoy the rest of game day and the game.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. We're gonna need to slide Dave's chair over here too. We need to.
So let's just do some logistics here. Stand up here. Yes, an official.
Yes,
sponsor.
sponsor drinks. That's what we're calling them. All right. Come on in. Very good.
Grace, I'm Luca.
Luca, good to meet you. Dave, good to see you.
Good to see you, Chris.
All right. All right. All right. So we have to get, well, first we have to get told if we're on the camera or not here. Are we good? Is that really a bad thing?
Yeah, I was
That-
gonna say. Maybe the ghost of Sebastian talking without being.
All right, so-
Right?
So, look, this is always one of the highlights for us. We like to, we have Women in Deep Foundation members, we have chairs from different events, but now we have the chairs of DFI49. Luca, Dave, we're glad you guys could join us.
Thanks for the invite.
Thanks for having
Absolutely.
us.
How, let's just start, how do you guys, look, Sebastian and I,
Right?
yeah,
Like,
well,
where do we
Sebastian and I
start?
have been in this role of Sebastian was a conference chair. I was the technical chair. So we know what the last year has been like for you guys. So now that we're here and it's happening, how are things going? How do you guys feel about everything so far?
I'm ecstatic, just extremely happy with the turnout. Having 1,100 attendees and
Mhm.
a full exhibit hall and
Yes.
the room full this morning for the preliminary session was fabulous. And so very, very happy and wonderful to see it all come together after a year or so of
Yeah,
talking about
absolutely.
it, working on it.
Of
So,
preparation. Yeah, and I read the vibe, and I see a good vibe.
Yes, it's very positive.
You know,
always been
everybody's
very-
telling me that it is a good conference. So they're asking me what I feel. I say, well, I'm a little biased, so
Yes.
I usually ask them, and they're like, everything's great, everything's working great. And so,
Right.
yeah.
That's a good point though. I do remember that from DFI 47 in DC. The amount of people throughout the week coming by saying, hey, this is great. It makes you feel good. That it's like,
Yes,
man, all
yes.
that,
Yeah, because
all that
the-
effort, all those
your baby
calls.
small
Yes.
idea, right?
That's
Like,
it.
You put it together and you plan it and you put your vision. I guess that's a little segue to my question, which is when you get the opportunity, right, and you are selected for this role, you also get like an open book in the sense of saying, well, now it's your time to put your vision on things, right? It's like,
Yep.
You're gonna obviously be at the head of the organization for the conference, but the most valuable input that we want from you is what angle you want to give to this, what is gonna be the main thing. For me, it was always the keynote lectures, right? Like you can pick what angle you want on the keynote lectures, what area you want to concentrate. So how was that process for you guys? Like what topics you identified immediately, almost since day one that you wanted to cover and like the people that you wanted to bring and
Yeah.
things like that, right? So how was
Yeah.
that process like in the
Want me
creation?
to go? So it was clear almost from the beginning, at least to me, that water
Yes,
was a
water,
big
yes.
topic, right?
Okay.
So when we got together, this was in July 23,
23.
to decide the themes. We wanted to have water as one of the themes, but we also knew that infrastructure, which is related to water. And then, of course, it's the idea of how DFI contributes to all this, right? How do we integrate these topics within what DFI can bring? So the idea for us was that Dave was more like at the water side of the conference, if you want. I was
Okay.
more on the DFI, call it traditional. So when I got on traditional, I became untraditional in a sense that I said, okay, I want to shake things up a bit. And you saw it, I hope, with the speaker,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Because I wanted to have owners.
Mhm.
For me, that was important for this conference, to have a little bit of less of an inward looking, but
Yes.
to have other people that look at the deep foundation industry and they understand what we bring as organizations, right? So I wanted owners, and then I was like, okay, now we need a speaker that can also talk to owners.
Yes.
And so the selection of the speaker was along this idea of what can we do to change how we do things in this industry, the
Right.
procurement side of things.
Yes.
So that was kind of my line,
Which I
you
like,
know.
and we're talking Barbara Jackson, right?
Yeah, Barbara
that's the
Jackson,
thing,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I really enjoyed the lecture this morning because, as you said, it's not the typical that we hear, and I also like the fact we were thinking on the owner's kind of side, right? Instead of just like the same thing. I mean, definitely, it's an interesting concept. But how was the process when you proposed this idea? Because it's not like the standard, you know what I'm saying? Like typically on conference, we say, well, the first presentation is gonna be the history of ogre cast fights in, I don't know, I'm making it up, but
Yeah.
in Cincinnati, right? And then you come with this topic that is very outside the box. I don't know if the reaction is what you were thinking, right? Like
Yeah,
I imagine you got some pushback at some point. Somebody said,
Yeah,
"Are you sure this is what you want
you,
to
you
do?"
know this organization very well.
Like it's
Yes.
the keynote lecture. You are opening, right?
That's
Yes.
it.
It's a marquee event.
Yeah, as much as, I mean, Dave, I'm sure has something to say, but as much as this is our conference that we can kind of go, yes, the moment that was proposed, there were definitely some reservations, to the point of, well, can we keep talking maybe about other options? Okay. And
Maybe she can go on their days. A good suggestion.
I find that very, I
You
find
know?
that very, very surprising that was the conversation. Or
You
maybe
do?
not. No,
Sarcastically?
yes, very sarcastic.
It did happen. It did happen. So you kind of have to, I don't know, so maybe hold the line a bit.
Okay.
Because we did evaluate other options.
Okay. Okay.
But ultimately, we went back to the same concept, at least for me,
Mhm.
you know, and I'll let Dave speak more for the other side.
Certainly, as over the years, as I've been active with DFI, I've always been on the federal owner side with the
Mhm.
Bureau of Reclamation or the Army Corps of
Sure.
Engineers. So certainly one of my personal goals over the years, again, has to engage the owners and get them engaged within the organization and the committees.
Right.
And we were successful with establishing an MOU with the Army Corps of Engineers, and we've just had our third seepage control workshop with the Corps. We've
Excellent.
been trying to have them every 5 years.
Yep.
And so that aspect was very important to me. So having 2 days like this with Barbara leading off and Mr. Belk from Army Corps Headquarters speaking tomorrow.
Yep.
Feel blessed that we've been able to get such quality
Yeah.
folks to come and speak at our conference.
No, that's great. And then what you next week, it's like, oh, wait a minute. There's the calls that are not there now. And there's
Yeah,
a man, oh,
that
it's like a weird thing for a couple of weeks where all of a sudden, yeah, it's like, oh, what do I fill the time with now? Which I'm sure there will be no shortage of things to fill the time with, but it's just it's like a weird thing after you're done. So no, that's great. I mean, look, having a nice full exhibit hall is tremendous. I mean,
The place is also
the
amazing.
venue,
Yes.
right? I mean,
Yes.
you walk in the front of the hotel and the whole view of the city, and
Yeah.
You know.
It's I mean, it's kind of like what you were talking about, the energy. And to me, there is the comment after many of the national conferences.
Yeah.
That sets the pace, right? Because if you're not in a really good place, people are not that happy. But when you have a beautiful place like this, right?
yeah,
Then you have all these lectors and people, and it's like everything builds on top of top.
that's it.
And it becomes something that is really fascinating. So
Yeah.
no, I mean, congratulations on what you have done because it's really exciting. I genuinely enjoyed the morning when you were saying the panel, not only Barbara Jackson, but also the panel with the different perspectives, the
Yeah.
lamplight and all that, and then the one in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's been very, I also like the fact that you were kind of mixing a little bit the formats, and it's not just one person doing a presentation. I love the fact that Barbara was not even podium, she was walking down there.
That
I
was her
know-
thing.
I
Yeah.
know it
That was
created-
her thing.
I know it created disruption right before. Like I saw Teresa this morning, and it's like, how are we doing? Right? It's like ready. She's like, oh, it's we need to adjust a lot of things, but no, but it's great. I mean, I think it's back into what Barbara was saying. You have to reinvent yourself, and you have to look because you cannot just do the same thing just because you did something that was successful. You cannot just repeat it 50 times, right?
Right.
So you have to keep changing it and
Yeah.
keep it interesting. Think on other on other parts, on other players from your event, right? Not only
Yep.
the engineer that's doing or the contractor and supplier, but also the owner, which
Yep.
I don't think it's commonly the main target when we put the key factors.
Yep.
Yeah, so tell us what else is exciting coming from the rest of the conference. Anything that you feel that you have your input that you feel it's something that you definitely wanted to have.
I will say we concentrated more on the technical part. I'm
Mhm.
definitely excited for the hunt lecture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me too. Yeah.
That will be very exciting.
Yeah, anytime you've had,
Captain Phillips, right?
anytime
Yes,
you've had
Captain
Tom
Phil.
Hanks play you in a movie,
Yeah.
generally you've had a lousy day somewhere along the line, so that'll be,
Yeah.
that'll be pretty interesting to hear
So
him
I think that
speak,
will
for sure.
be something that people also are looking forward
Yeah,
to.
no,
But
Yeah.
tomorrow morning is going to be very exciting. I think between Mr. Belk in the morning, and then we get into the these water agencies panels.
Yes.
Yep.
You're gonna hear, again, as I said this morning, during my opening, there's definitely a theme that goes through that is not just water resiliency, this theme of collaboration, cooperation, which is kind of what Barbara Jackson touched on. You will see some of that, and I expect that you will hear some of that from the panel.
Okay.
right.
So this idea of opening up and maybe changing a little bit how things have been done over the years. She called it archaic,
Okay.
which is kind of what I call it too when I talk to clients, but it's true. And again, for me, there was the theme also that I want a little bit to have in the conference, because as we're facing challenges, as we all know, across the industry in many ways, from people, right? And DFI is, I call it, is a catalyst, right?
Yeah,
In trying to
Yeah.
change also where we find people, how we get people, how we train people, right? I think we have to do the same because we can, and it's important that we do that in the procurement side of things, because we can change. We have the power to change, and we need to. Otherwise, we're going to get stuck, like she said.
Yeah, I mean,
That's it.
The same
some of
model.
the blockbuster compared to Netflix that she was giving.
Yeah.
It's true, right? It's like, and I think that's part of what I also see value. And this has been talked by Franco many times. And Jim James, I mean, like obviously DFI continues to grow, right? And continues to go to different markets. So I mean, having a conference that in the title is water, resilience and infrastructure. I mean, that's different, right? That's different than it was before. But I think it's important to reach to those agencies and those owners and also
Yeah.
try to expand the services that we all represent
Yeah.
here. Because at the end of the day, that's part of what DFI is about. Right?
Absolutely.
Like, we all want to grow and I'm not saying in a negative way, we want to grow the business, right? I mean, we want to do business with other clients and other things. So
Yeah.
I think it's great that we're moving into that space instead of just repeating what we already know what's there. She said something that was very important. That success can be a big trap for you, right? And I go back to the Blockbuster example, and it's that, right? It's like you are successful doing what you're doing, then you become complacent and you feel that that's it, right? Then look what happens in Blockbuster. So
Yeah.
it's similar. We need to also keep looking for things. So yeah, what you guys are doing is great. I really like it, and I definitely get the point that you were trying to do. And yeah, congratulations. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Excellent. Gentlemen,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you joining us. Things are off to a great start. We're very excited about the rest of the week. So I think we can speak on behalf of everyone here. Thank you guys
Yes.
very much for the
You're
effort
welcome.
and pulling this together for everyone this year.
Appreciate
All
it.
right. Very good.
Thanks for having
Thank you.
us.
All right. Thanks. Good to see you, Dave.
Good to see you.
All right. All right. Excellent. Now we got Paula. Paula. Please join us. Oh, right there is fine. Yeah.
No, no.
Yeah.
Over there.
Right here. There we go. All right, welcome. How,
Hey,
how do we say your name correctly? Paula?
Paola Bandini,
Very good. And who are you with?
New Mexico State University.
Mexico
I'm
State
a
University.
professor.
Where are you
in-
originally from?
I'm originally from Venezuela,
Oh, see.
South
There's
America.
Latin America.
Is
But
this
I grew up, I was born and I grew up in an Italian family.
Okay, but when did you move here?
Well, I came after my
Your
bachelor's.
accent is nothing like mine, right? So I imagine you move a lot younger than when I came to this country, right?
No. I, after college, I came to the States. That was in
So you did
96.
college back in Venezuela?
Yes.
okay?
Then you're just way better than me in English,
Yes,
right?
yes.
All right. So you grew up in what part of Venezuela? Caracas, or where did you?
No, in the south, Ciudad Bolivar.
That's the Bolívar, okay.
Yes, we have the Orinoco River that.
Yeah, that is
goes
very
by
close to
our-
Colombia. I'm originally from Colombia. That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. So,
This is what happened. We've had over the years, we have a guest from South America.
yes.
And then more often than not, by the end of the interview, everyone's talking in Spanish and I'm
Yes,
kind
and
of
Chris is-
over here hanging out like, hey, good. I hope they're not making fun of me, right? No, it's very good.
Tengo gringo afuera.
That's it. Get us a coffee. No, that's good.
So, okay, so let's go back to that. So you study in Venezuela, you did college, and then you
Yes.
came to the States.
Yes,
96 you mentioned?
I came 96. I came for grad school. I went to Purdue University for my master's and my
Where?
PhD.
Who you were?
Purdue
Oh,
University.
boiler up.
Yes.
Boilermaker.
I'm a Boilermaker as well. So
Really?
I did my
Yes.
undergrad there.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah,
So when were you there for your master's?
Well, 96 through 2022.
We were there at the, so I did my
Did
undergrad.
you overlap?
I graduated from Purdue in 1999 in the civil program.
Oh,
So,
okay.
all right,
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah.
Boilermaker. So now
Yes. Okay.
the
so anyway,
non-Boilermaker can,
well, my dad graduated from Purdue, so we're almost
You did?
family. Yes.
You're kind of- you're kind of cousins.
He graduated in 69. He did his undergrad there, graduated in 69.
upset that I've heard the stories about your father being kidnapped in the,
I'm a man of
Forest of
mystery, man.
Columbia,
I'm
but
a
I've
man of
never heard
mystery,
that he
and I
went to
like to
Purdue.
throw you nuggets once in a while.
That's
just to
it.
keep you interested. So,
unbelievable. We digress.
yes. So let's go back to you. So you study there, and then what happened? You finish your PhD at Purdue.
At Purdue. And at that time, my plan was to go back to Venezuela
Okay.
and I had my family there.
Mhm.
My husband was working there at the time. And my advisor said, why don't
Who
you
was your
apply, Rodrigo
Rodrigo
Delgado?
Delgado.
Yes. So why don't you apply
From
for
Brazil, Chris.
some,
It's a South American thing.
why
That's it.
don't you apply for some, faculty positions that are open and
Yeah.
see what happens. They decide later. So I was fortunate to have several interviews and offers. And I really I was very fortunate and I decided to join the faculty at New Mexico State University.
Okay.
So I really like
No.
they scheduled my interview. I think this has something to do with it. It was Valentine's Day
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
wow.
and I was coming from Indiana,
Mhm. Yeah.
winter, very cold.
Yep.
And I landed there. So the next day I had the interviews and we walked to the restaurant for lunch. They schedule all these interviews for you.
Mhm.
And I didn't need my jacket, the boots, the gloves, everything. I left it over there in the
Yeah, I
car.
can attest. Indiana in February is
Yes.
not pleasant.
And the weather was beautiful.
Okay.
Gorgeous. You see the mountains,
mountains,
the
yes.
blue sky, and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
it was sunny. Fell in love with us. I
Yes.
That's it.
Wow.
that's
So
it.
you've been there for a long time, and
yeah, 22 years.
well, that's awesome.
Wow.
And you're still enjoying everything that New Mexico has to offer, right?
Yes, I really like the department, the environment. I like the opportunities, the professional development I have had, and
Sure.
and the students that we work for. So I love it.
So what is
Love it.
mostly of what you do in terms of, being there? I mean, you do research, I imagine, you teach.
Yes.
So like how many students, like PhD students have you have? What kind of things have give you the most satisfaction, I guess, of being there?
He asking me like 10
I know.
things at the same
How do you do
time.
that? And it's like,
So
you
I-
figure it-
This is
I-
what he does.
yes.
Yeah.
I pick,
You pick the
One
ones you
and
want
Pick
to
one.
ask.
Pick one and go with it.
yes, I do the, this is conventional teaching, research and service.
Yes.
Right now I'm teaching soil mechanics, foundation design for undergraduates. I teach also graduate classes in the foundations, retaining
Yeah.
structures and so on, the geotechnical.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
But because of the leadership and other administrative responsibilities I have and the research, I'm teaching only one class per semester.
Okay.
Oh,
So it's between, yeah, soil mechanics and for juniors and for foundations and
Okay.
so on. How many students I have? Right now, I have a low number
Okay.
because some of them graduated and I'm about
Ah, yeah,
recruiting the new ones.
Yeah.
But I have four.
Okay.
I
On
have four
PhD?
students.
Or
Yeah, two
masters?
and two.
Two and two.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's great. I mean, I always,
But it's a low number. I generally have 6 to 8.
yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I think there is, so I teach at the University of Pittsburgh, but I don't do research. I just teach as an adjunct and I work full
Yep.
time on design. But you know, when I was doing my PhD, I think when you, and I travel a lot to different programs in the country and there is an advantage when you have less students because you can dedicate a lot of more of your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you go to these students that you talk to them and it's like, yeah, I have my advisor, but my advisor has 15 other PhD students.
Mhm.
And then I always wonder, like, how much attention are you really getting? I mean,
Right.
given that a PhD, you are supposed to do all the stuff, right? I mean, it's your PhD, it's not your professor's PhD, but still you need an advisor and that's the reason you're working together. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of the small numbers in that respect. I think it brings a lot of value.
So
Right.
let's tie this then to you're here. You're one of the Women in Deep Foundation. We just had Emma,
Yeah.
the chair. You're one of the Women in Deep Foundation grant winners.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
This is my first DFI.
That's where
Oh, yeah, I was
that's
gonna
where
ask you
that's
that,
where I
yeah.
wanted to go with this, right? So we've recently started a student engagement committee here. Because historically DFI has not, we have not been as strong with some of the university, getting a professor, where you go to GeoCong or something like that, there's a lot more students. So
Oh, a lot.
I was interested in knowing how, as a professor in New Mexico,
Mhm.
you ended up even being aware of this grant opportunity and then here,
Yeah, correct. How do you
And,
connect to
and
DFI?
I'm kind of worried because I saw the statistics that they presented at launch
Mhm.
today. And only 3%, the attendance, only
It's-
3% from academia. So
yeah.
And to be honest, that's
another,
huge.
a student, a
Right.
PhD student in my table, and I will look at each other and say, maybe it's the two of us and maybe a
Well,
couple
because
more.
It's also like, I
Um,
represent academia because I teach, but in reality, I'm more in design, the same as you.
Yeah, I'm
So
a,
it's
I'm a
like
contractor.
90% maybe even higher than it actually is.
Every organization has its own
Yeah, like
sort of,
niche and market. and-
Yeah.
So I'm aware of this opportunity. I have been aware for several years. And I always say, well, next year I'm gonna apply. Next year I'm gonna
Right.
apply. So I have actually everything to attend
correct.
and go. So I postponed it. I was busy, but this time I made it a
priority.
priority.
So I'm curious to hear, like, what do you think about
And- and-
this?
but
Yeah, first time at
But
DFI.
how do I found out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like some
Because
questions.
of
We have no
the,
near time.
well, when I became, a few years ago, I became a member of the DFI, so I received the
Okay.
email list,
Yeah.
so I see that. I also, this is advertised, I think, through You Sugar, maybe?
Yes,
the-
well, trying to really get.
Yeah.
So I see the announcement
Yeah,
and
correct.
this time
And it's great because you got it on the year, it's almost like a record of applicants. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
years before, chances were even higher because, the thing was just starting in the sense of not many people knew, but now it's like a very, now.
Yeah,
it's
Miss
very
said, what did she
competitive.
say? 30,
We are-
30
we're
something
expect- yeah,
applicants?
it's almost-
Yeah.
It's almost
39.
40 for 5 spots. And that's the reason that now we're increasing it to 8, right?
Yeah.
Because we see, this is a great thing and a lot of people benefit from it.
Absolutely.
So let's try to increase it.
I felt when I heard this that there were 39 and only 5 were funded, I said, wow, I'm taking because I'm not a junior faculty or
Yeah.
somebody starting in the career.
Sure.
So I'm taking,
Oh, like
felt
we're taking like
I'm
the
taking
spot from
somebody
someone.
else's spot. But at the same
No.
time, I realized that I can be here in a different role.
Absolutely. because you have
May-
students that will still come.
Yes.
Yes,
it.
exactly.
Yes, and even as a mentor and
Yes,
maybe
correct,
a
correct.
connection for younger
Correct.
women
I mean,
and
to me, the point
younger
is-
women and men that
Yeah.
in the
To me, the
profession.
point is bring people that obviously, bring women that have never been in a DFI conference.
Yep.
Because I mean, obviously, as you know, we are like the rock pillars of the of the industry in the sense that we give you a little bit of a taste, right? And it's like now you're hooked forever in the DFI National. And I can guarantee you, because once you come to one of these events, it's like you see all the great things that happen, and you absolutely
You want to
I
be
mean,
part of
to
it.
me, it was
Yeah.
like that. I went to my first national, and I was like, forever come
Yes.
because and especially, I mean, for us, I guess it's also exciting because part of what we talk with Chris and the Committee for Student Engagement is that we want more faculty that, and I say true faculty in the sense that like we are adjuncts, but I'm talking full-time faculty on universities that become more involved. Because as the faculty become involved, the students.
The students, well, yeah, that's
right?
the
Get
entire.
students.
Yeah.
Without the faculty, it's impossible.
We are the connection. We are many times we are the ones funding the students, providing
Well,
them
and-
the
and-
support for them to come or the motivation or the, yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, thank you for just offering to join the student engagement committee. That was
Yes,
very,
but-
very kind of you. Very good.
Well, I attended several committees. It was very interesting and I introduced myself to the chairs and.
Was it
those
overwhelming
parts and-
for you? I mean, when you went to the committees, you felt that you were welcome, right? You didn't feel like it was, because we talk a lot about that.
Yes, yes.
We want to make the
Yes.
committees and the committee day. This was the first year that the committee day actually is considered the first day of the conference, right?
Mhm.
In the past, people used to look at the conference and saying, well, the first day is committee day. So if I'm not on a committee, I don't go the first day, I just arrive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So now we make it part of the program.
Yes.
Now day one is committee, day two is today.
Yes.
But obviously the other thing is you go to some that are like 60 people on a committee and you're in phase. And so we're trying to make it very friendly, right? That is
Yes.
welcoming.
And I felt that. I also like that at least the ones that I attended, the committee is 1 hour.
Mhm.
Uh,
It's strict.
That's it.
they go
Yes.
to the point, and they have a long agenda, right?
Chris
For
had
the,
to shut me up yesterday. I was still trying to say, like, dude, it's 1 hour. We are.
I was like, that's it. We're
Yeah.
time.
yes,
at the end.
very well,
That's it.
very well, managed and I really like it. I have been in committees that they go
Yeah, yeah.
on
and on and on.
and
Yes.
it gets boring.
Yeah.
What's the
And
point
not,
where you're
yeah,
doing
not
it?
a good, so the discussions and, you can create small task,
Yeah, the task forces are the
resources
best,
and
right? It's-
groups and,
Yeah, I mean, that's something
And
that I
we're-
really like about DFI because I'm not saying any other particular organization, but something that happened in DFI is that we get things done here, right? And then when you got in a committee, it's not a committee
Yeah.
for just talking and talking for hours and going in circles. If there is something, then it gets resolved and then we create task forces and they get addressed, right?
Yeah, and we get after it.
Exactly. And I
So-
think that's the main spirit, so.
Well,
No,
excellent.
That's so good. And this is just the beginning. I mean, you still have, well, no, we're kind of like halfway in the conference if you count that it's
Yeah.
days out of 4.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm sure you're gonna continue
more good things to
discovering a
come.
lot of great things. I mean, to me, it blew my mind the first time that I came to one of these.
and I'm meeting lots of people that I wouldn't have met
Yes,
otherwise and I'm
absolutely.
learning what they are doing and, the contractors and the.
Yes, no, it also, like, let's say it as it is, like, Geo Institute is awesome, and we just have right at the beginning, right? But I believe that, the good thing between Geo Institute and DFI, with the Geo Congress and the DFI National, is that we really complement each other. We're not trying to do the same thing.
Yeah,
We-
it's
we have
it's different demographics.
different demographics. It's still with a little bit of overlap. That's the reason that I always go to all.
Yeah.
But you have access to other demographic that is important to have, and that benefits your career from all aspects, right? So-
I agree.
Absolutely.
Completely.
Well, good. Well, look,
Yes.
congratulations again
Yes.
on.
Thank
Yes.
you.
What are you
on
gonna do
the
with the
grant.
big check? I always wonder, what do you do when you get that check? It's like, do you take it in the airplane like that and all that, or how do you do?
I'm
Not with the
gonna-
money, I'm talking the physical check, right?
check.
Well, I walk around with my big check last night everywhere.
That's it.
No, I'm taking it with me. I might.
you should.
it's
Put it
a
up in
good
the office
memory.
back at
Yeah.
school. It's
I
a
will.
talking point for all the students that walk in and say, where'd that come from?
I will. I tried
That's
to
it.
pay, dinner with that, but they didn't take it.
That's what
but-
I always hope that the check, I hope that the check didn't have the amount, because like, when I got like the young engineers that work with me, when they got it, obviously I took pictures with them and we were very proud that they got it, but I always hated that it has the number. And I was like, man, but if I put this like on LinkedIn and stuff, and and people from other countries see it and they do the conversion. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah,
wish they
to
did.
show off
I wish
that,
they
yeah.
have the big check with no amount, just like, you know, that
Yeah,
part. Just
We can blur that.
or like a
that-
blur
That's
or
it.
something like
That's
that.
it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
But this, do you know that I'm doing a sabbatical this semester?
I did not know that.
Oh,
Ah, that's, so this current semester?
Yes,
Oh, so
yes,
you
yes,
can
I'm
party
on
like
sabbatical
nice.
leave.
Very, you can stay here until next week and. Yeah.
No. What I'm doing for the sabbatical is something a little bit unconventional for faculty.
okay.
Definitely. want to do this.
Especially at my stage in my career that last year I decided to do something completely different. I wanted to learn. I wanted to feel that I was developing new skills, something new.
All right.
And so I connected with Schnabel Foundation,
Okay.
and I told them, if they will take me as an intern.
Ah, that's pretty good.
That's right. I was talking,
So-
Mary Ellen was telling us about this last night. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So it took I had to propose it several times until they said, well, yes. So they
Okay.
connected me to the regional manager here in Colorado, and I'm actually local this semester.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm working with them. It has been amazing.
And you are doing it like entry level or how do you doing the, I mean, what
Well,
do you
I
want
told them I'm here to learn.
Yes,
I know the mechanics,
Yeah, correct.
I have a knowledge of.
yes,
of-
correct,
of
correct,
the-
yeah. I just want to know your
of the-
operation, basically.
Yes, the installation,
Yes, correct. That's what I was saying, like an
and-
entry
and
level
I
in the
wanted
field,
to
right?
bring I wanted that significant exposure to
Yes, correct.
to the construction aspect.
That is
Very good.
awesome. I bet. Congratulations. That's
And
awesome.
it's amazing. I recommend it to anyone.
Yes.
Yes.
To do it.
No, that's
Excellent.
great. I think it's gonna benefit obviously your career tremendously and your students, right? Because now you can provide.
Yes.
many-
That's it.
many
Yes.
things, yeah.
That's it. All right. Well,
Okay.
Thank you
Yes,
so much
thank
for
you very
joining
much
us.
for
Thank
spending
you.
This has been great.
congratulations again.
Okay.
all right.
Frame the big check. Just blow it.
That's it. And another Boilermaker. There you go.
Yes, exactly.
Very good. All right. And keep it. Ankita?
And keep
Ankita. All right. Very good. Now we're on the parade of Women in Deep Foundation grant
Yes,
winners.
Exactly.
That's it. So
Change
welcome.
topics very suddenly.
All right.
You want a drink? We have some drinks. We have water also.
Sure, thank you.
All right.
Mhm.
So, Ankita, who are you with?
Right now I'm working with FIU, Florida International University.
Very good.
So I'm as a research professor, and recently actually I moved to a leadership position. So more towards managing projects we have
Got
and
it.
the research.
But you see, these guys
Okay.
always start from the middle. Let's go back to the beginning.
That's it.
So where are you originally from?
Oh, I'm from India.
Or
So
you stay there, you did like undergrad? Or,
Yes.
Okay.
I did my undergrad there. I mean, I was born there, raised there.
What part of India?
South Hyderabad.
Hyderabad, yeah.
Oh, you know that.
Yes, of course. yeah.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah. Depending on the day of the week, he might be in a different time zone.
Oh.
That's what he does. Yeah.
All right.
No, that's awesome. So, okay, so then you came to the States to,
No, actually I went to Italy to do my master's.
okay, where
so-
did you study there?
I was from University of Bologna.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why Italy?
Oh, so basically, actually, I
Nothing
wanted
wrong
to,
with Italy, but.
no, I wanted to go to New Zealand to do earthquake engineering.
Ah,
But
okay.
then there was this professor who kind of interested me to,
Okay.
get there, and I got a full scholarship.
Okay.
So I thought,
Okay.
why not?
Yes, why not? Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the way I went to Pitt because they offered me the
Yeah.
financial, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I'll go
Why not?
anyway.
There you go.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
alright,
And
so then you went
then,
there and
yeah.
then you did what? Your master's or PhD?
Yes, I did my master's there in structural engineering. And as a part of that, there was like this program, of course, with the scholarship.
Sí.
We had to do like a 6-month internship abroad. So
Okay.
I chose United States.
Yes.
So initially I came in like that.
Okay.
And I worked with Florida Atlantic University.
Okay.
Okay.
And then later, of course, they offered me the PhD. So
But 1 second, because you mentioned something there very suddenly, but you were doing it on structural engineering.
Structural
Yes.
engineering.
So you were doing it like on seismic applications.
yes,
But it's structural, but I mean, you already have like a component of geotech or soil or
no.
how geotech appear in your life?
So this is very interesting. So what
Yes.
happened is when I was in Italy, I was roaming around all the countries
Okay.
and of course the cities. So as a part of that, I went to Pisa. So, and then I saw the Leaning Tower.
Yeah.
That's it.
I was like, okay,
there's
That's like
something here.
geotechnical case study
Yes.
101 right there.
Yes, exactly.
So I was like, okay, I need to study this. And then, that's where the shift took place.
Wow, that's awesome. What an iconic structure to bring you in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's how
Wow.
it happened. And then, yeah, I
So,
continued.
but okay, so but then how the process happened, because you always were interested, right? But I imagine when you were there, you were like, I want to learn more about this. But then how you start disengaging from the structural part and switching and shifting.
To be frank, I didn't really completely disengage.
You just adapted more like
Yes,
soil structure.
yes. So I did like study of deep foundation systems
Okay.
in like multi-layered soil.
Ah,
So
okay.
I kind of
Yeah.
did both together,
Sure.
like structural and geotechnical.
Okay.
So okay, so then that brings us to, so you finished there
Mhm.
and then you came to the States
Yes, for my PhD.
for your PhD.
Yes, and that's
then-
when I delved deeper into geotechnical.
Yeah, so now you are at your PhD, now you're fully a geotech.
Yes,
person, geotech engineer.
Yeah.
Okay.
that's how it shifted.
And then, okay, and then you did that and you finished.
Yes, I finished, and then immediately I got a position as a
Wow, so
yeah as a research assistant professor
That's
in
it.
FIU,
If I,
Florida International University, and after that I'm there.
so you basically have been in the States in Florida most of your
Oh
time,
yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I love Florida.
I guess the heat is nothing for you from Hyderabad, so you're like,
Yes.
I can live with this,
Yes.
no problem.
We do
Florida-
have the tropical climate, so
Florida International, that's what, like Biscayne, like Miami, right?
yes, it's in Miami.
Got it.
Yeah, nobody's gonna complain from living there, right?
No.
Yeah.
Well, this week they might. So
Well, yeah,
you're-
this week is.
how long? What's your plans for flying home with?
Oh, actually,
hurricane.
no, all the flights got cancelled, so I'm gonna go back on Sunday.
Got
So
it.
I thought I'll explore Colorado and nearby states a little bit.
Yeah,
There could
yeah.
be worse places to have
Yes,
spend
correct.
a
And I
couple
mean,
extra
and-
days,
Yeah.
right? I mean, if we're being honest.
and let's
Yeah.
hope that, I mean, obviously, let's hope that everything goes.
Goes okay
down
goes
there, yeah.
okay, and people, the evacuated
Ours.
people and all that are safe, and
True.
obviously there will be some like
Yeah.
material losses, but let's hope that it's only material losses and that's it, right? And
Yes. I hope to.
Absolutely.
I hope to.
so what are you doing these days in in terms of research and work and students and
Actually, to be frank, it became more challenging with the emerging technologies,
Okay.
So we are more focused towards innovative ideas like inculcating artificial intelligence into like
Mhm.
traditional topics. So, and also like sustainability is a
Yep.
big thing
Okay.
now. So how to make materials more sustainable for the future.
Yeah.
So we are dealing with all that kind of aspects now, more towards materials and of course automation. And yeah, artificial intelligence is one of the
Yeah,
important.
I think whether we want to deal with it or not, AI is coming. So it's
Yes,
how do
yeah.
we,
correct,
how do we make it
Mhm.
most advantageous to what we're trying to do?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
In fact, my PhD was based on artificial intelligence.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Wow.
I applied
What
it.
year did you finish it?
2023.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
I was gonna say, because if it's 20 years ago, we'll be like, wow, right?
Yeah.
That was
Oh.
very new.
Ahead of the
Yes,
curve.
ahead of the
Yeah.
curve. So
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
No, that's great. And yeah. And
All right.
then
So
what
now
about-
let's get to why you're here
yes,
in the
exactly.
first place. So how, we just had one professor, now another professor, and we were talking with Paula about, DFI has not historically been as present with universities and students, and it's something we're working to address. But how did you in the first place become aware of the grant, even in the beginning?
Okay, so I was a part of DFI before when I
Okay.
was a student. I used
Oh,
to
that's
attend the
awesome.
webinars. Yeah.
That's great. That's
So
great.
I used to listen to the podcast as well to get some information. Yes.
Excellent.
There you
So-
go.
So you knew about us. You are the third
Yes.
view, right?
That's the third viewer. Yeah, that's
You
it.
see him and you're watching this video.
Yes.
Excellent.
So I mean, I used to gain a lot of information watching all these episodes and all that. So I was actively
Well,
involved.
thank you. Appreciate the support.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, and then I saw this grant, and I mean, of course, my colleagues made me aware of it.
Mhm.
So I kind of applied to see if I will be eligible or if I'll win. I was in a debate, and then finally I applied,
Yeah.
and fortunately I won that.
No, that's
So,
Which
it was
is
like,
again from having Emma on here, no small feat this year with
yes.
39
39
applicants. So
and only
I
five.
mean that's very good. Congratulations.
Thank
What
you.
what has impressed you the most so far?
Uh,
Conference.
Oh, I love how people connect here.
That's
Um,
great. The networking is amazing.
Yes, I love that part.
Like the
So,
positive friendship. I mean, like
exactly.
everyone is, if you are here, it's because you want to talk,
Yes.
right?
And
That's
it's
it.
so
want to-
encouraging.
Yes, it's extremely encouraging and uplifting. I remember that was one of the first things that I pick up. It's like,
Yeah,
it's a great place that you meet people, and I mean, you feel that you're doing something that is really good for your career.
true, true. And they're also giving me a lot of suggestions on how to grow from here. So that's all like my thing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Well, good. Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
We are very glad you could join us. I mean, we still got 2 good days of content and everything. And so we, we're here every year. We're doing this. We've been to God knows how many DFI conferences in a row. So hopefully this will spur you on to be here, in the
Yeah.
future, and we'll be running into each other.
For
But
sure.
before we finish, you have to give a shout
Yes.
out to your husband because he has been taking videos.
That's it, because he's over there.
He's the biggest fan that I have
That's
ever
it.
seen when we interview someone.
I love it.
My
That's
husband is
fantastic.
everywhere. People know him more than me
That's
because
awesome.
he's always like that. And then they say he's the man behind the woman.
So
So
what's his name?
That's
We
it.
need to put him on the air.
he's Arjun Gowda. Yeah.
All right.
He's a
Very good.
mechanical engineer.
I expect some of those pictures in LinkedIn and we tag
Oh,
them.
yes.
That's it.
Yes.
There you
yes.
go.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, and
That's
and we do racing together. We are
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, we do like riding together
All right.
because he's a mechanical engineer. So
So
yeah,
what kind of racing are we talking?
motorcycle.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yes, he does it a lot. I'm a little scared. I'm just learning it.
So
But I
what-
ride.
what are you doing? Like MotoGP and stuff like that? Or
He is.
wow.
Yeah, he's a suspension engineer for MotoGP, Moto America, Florida
Oh,
track
really?
days.
There you go.
Yes.
That's great.
And then I'm just like I hang out with the
Yeah.
crowd,
Yeah, right.
but I ride them. Yeah, I have
Oh.
a Ninja,
That is,
Excellent.
oh, a ninja?
Ninja
Oh,
400.
that's fascinating.
Yes.
That is
New.
pretty cool.
There you go.
Yes, yes. I bet you put that on your grant application like
Yes.
immediately. There you go.
That's it.
Big points.
Yeah, that gets me some points actually.
No, that is
Wow.
fascinating. What a story.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, again, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you very much.
Very nice to meet you.
Yes, very nice meeting
All
you.
right.
Thanks for taking all the pictures, the videos. That's awesome.
That's it. Well, good. Well, we'll see you over the course of the next couple days, I'm sure.
Sure. Yes.
right, very
yes.
good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, and
Oh.
thanks for all the support.
Oh,
It
thank you.
means a lot.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You're doing great.
Thanks.
We're trying. No, they haven't fired us yet.
Yeah. So
This is 4 years.
I don't think.
Yeah,
that's
yet
it.
is the key word. This
Yes,
is
I
4
would
years
say
we've been
yet.
doing this,
Yeah. I don't
right?
think
I'm
no one
sure we'll have our moment where Teresa sees something and is like, all right, we like these two gotta go.
Yes.
these two
Correct,
gotta
correct.
go. So
So Alan,
yeah, it's out. Hey, Alan. We need Alan. Alan,
we're ready.
come
for
on. We are 4 minutes off schedule, which is
Yes.
unprecedented territory for us. Let's start with what's really important here.
Yes, sir.
The Mets are up 2-0 on the Phillies.
Oh, come on.
That's how we're gonna start it. You wanted to run your mouth before about how you were gonna show up on the show.
Experience. You
You,
know how much it took me to
he's gonna enjoy it.
It's early. Nothing
It's a
happens in
6th
these.
inning.
Nothing happens till the 8th or 9th inning.
No, we hit 2 home runs. Alonso hit a homer and
That
Winker.
was like the second inning, right?
You like the amount
Yeah.
of time that I have to spend on him yesterday to convince him to come here, and now you're chasing him away with this.
We're,
news.
we're bullshitting about something
Yes,
else. here.
correct,
Yeah, that's
correct,
just not
correct.
right. So,
Oh, you got a couple of those
Okay.
close to the thing. All right, so
okay, here I am. Yes.
Alan, I mean, we'll introduce you because that's what we do on the show, but I don't really,
Another character that
I don't
does
think
not
we
need
really
introduction
need to
or-
introduce Alan
I
Cadden.
thought you were
but-
going to read my resume. Top to bottom. Do the
No,
whole
that's,
thing.
that's the wrong show. We don't do that
Oh,
here.
damn. Okay. All right. I'll try.
That's
We
good. That's
actually,
good.
we don't even really know what we do here. We haven't still figured that out
I'm
yet.
looking forward to it. So,
So, no, it's good. Look,
is my time up yet?
Do you want a drink?
when Tony,
Please?
You know, I just walked around the exhibit hall looking for a drink, and I finally had a mooch one from the staff over there. So,
Yeah, I
Don't
stole
tell
a
anybody.
lot of those from the exhibit room, so
That's
most
it.
of them are here.
I stole enough to block my phone so I can, watch the game while we're,
I
you know.
I know I'm a
talking
really
to-
important interviewee when you got your TV going on here. And,
Yes.
you know.
You cannot
was-
take it, Alan, you cannot take it personally
Let's see
because
what's
it's
going on
been
here.
everyone- Oh, we got there.
Maybe
All
take
right.
some emails and
That's right.
So look, we've now been doing this for 4 years and we kind of sat down.
And this is the first time you've asked me to sit
I know,
down?
when
This
you
is the
realized
first
that
time we've
yesterday, I
had-
was like,
that's-
"Man, this is-"
We're like, we have not had Alan on it. Well,
I-
look,
I just told Natty you just ran out of options, so you were
Well,
stuck
in
with me
my
now.
defense, I thought we interviewed you like 3 years ago. And then
Yeah.
we looked the list and it's like, no.
Yeah.
that is the thing. And when we were chairs in DC, we actually didn't do this. And it wasn't really until like we sat down for this year to like, all right, who have we interviewed over the last 3 years? And we saw like, oh, they had all these people on when we were not, when we weren't doing it 3 years ago. So, but
Right.
look, I mean,
So you're back in control now, so.
yeah, we are backing. Well,
And I'm
Jessica,
glad to be here. Thank you very
Jessica's
much.
in control.
Jessica's in control.
Okay.
We go.
She's the one with
We
the,
know.
the button to, yeah.
Some 7-second delay by chance, just in case.
Yes, but anyway, if you say something, we have no way to fix it.
All
So
right, okay.
Look, as far as we're aware, Teresa has not received any like FAA fine notifications yet.
All right.
So I don't think we've, I don't think
I'll
we've
try to
it-
control that.
I don't think, well, it's not you that anyone's worried about. It's they keep putting microphone in front of us.
well,
So,
let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. So
Yep.
I mean, obviously you have a very successful career. Congratulations, and you have done a lot of great things for many organizations, right? DFI coming to mind, and also Geo Institute. But where your start, where your story started, like, where do you grow up, and how you end up going into geotech, and how you end up coming in the industry and becoming the icon that you are.
I grew up a poor child in Wilmington, North Carolina. Yeah, I'm a Hokie. I'm a Hokie at heart. I spent
That's it?
6 glorious years down there, and that did it, right? That's all you need to know.
that will
So-
do it.
And then
Yeah.
after that, you Schnabel since the
Yeah,
beginning.
actually, I started co-oping with Schnabel the end of my junior year. I got tired of being a broke student, so I took up a co-op job, and
That's amazing, because now you were telling me the other day, it's like what, 40 years?
it's a little over 40 years now since I
years of
started.
professional experience. I mean, not to
Yeah.
say anything,
I-
but I'm
I-
45, so it's like almost your
Yeah.
professional experience is my whole age.
Yeah.
Right?
I was
So,
talking to some students down at Tech the other week and realized that, wait a minute here, I've been working longer than you've been alive.
Oh, no,
By
no.
a long shot.
yes,
Yeah.
long shot, because that
Yeah.
happened to me.
My
when I
kids
teach-
are older than they are.
When I teach at Pitt, like I teach the slope stability class, which is the class that brought me to Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
To do my PhD there. And this semester I was telling, like, when I was taking this class that I teach now, when I was taking it as a student, you guys were not even born, right? So yeah, it's in perspective, but it's good. It's been a
Yeah.
great career. So, okay, so you
But
started with
I started actually
Then you passed through all
in
the
professional society, all the student chapter stuff and everything early on when I was at Tech. And stayed involved with it, got involved with the younger member groups in Philly and helped start the DVGI chapter. And
Oh, really? You have
yeah.
to start that one.
I spent a lot of years, even just started that, and I spent a bunch of years on the committee for younger members
Okay.
and did the national thing for that until I was like 39. I was well
Yeah.
past being young at the
Typically,
time.
like
I was still doing
35,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got into the national committee right at that point, and they kept me around. I was just the old guy going to
Yeah.
the meetings then. So
And then, okay, so then you were doing that. Then how do you jump from the local Geo Institute into the national Geos? How was that
So
transition?
actually, I started attending a lot of the ADSC meetings and
Okay.
started attending the PTI ground anchor meetings and learned a lot from those people. I was a young guy in that meeting that just listens to all the old guys tell the war stories
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
learn what's important. And that kind of got me involved in ADSC. So I did the
Mhm.
couple stints on their board. And then after that, they called me back from GI and said, hey, you did the national committee representation, so you're eligible, and
Okay,
asked me to join the board at GI. And
so it was through the board. That's when you jump at the national, right? And you start doing the board. And then how many years were you there?
I was on the national GI board for, I think that's 6 or 7 years.
Right, yeah, so you went
Yeah.
through the whole cycle and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
eventually became the president, right?
Yep, president in 2015, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think that's when we met in person. I mean, I knew about your, your work and obviously your name. But something that I don't know if I told you before, this may shock, right? I always like to shock people. when we're in the-
That's it.
All right, I'm ready.
No,
That's
because
it.
something that
Great.
impressed me is because I was the president of the Pittsburgh chapter, the GI Pittsburgh chapter in 2009 to 2010, and then I was
Okay.
director of the ASC Pittsburgh section. And at that time, I mean, I was doing things at the national level in the sense of, as a student, when I was at Pitt, I won the best paper on numerical modeling. But I always have like late 2000s, beginning of the 2010s. I always, my heart was divided because for more that I love the Geo Institute Pittsburgh, I always felt that it was a huge disconnection with the national, right?
Mhm.
And I was lucky enough that I received an award in the national one, but I never really saw myself as I could contribute to the national. I always felt I
Mhm.
finished my contribution at the local level and that's it. And then when Alan was the president of the Geo Institute, one of the mission points that he had was to start unifying that. So he went to Pittsburgh, and we met with Art Hoffman, I believe, at the
Yeah,
Gannett
yep,
office.
yep.
And I think Art invited me because he basically reached out to past president of the Geo Institute and say, hey, Alan is the president and he's going to be in Pittsburgh. He was not even doing a presentation or anything. He just
Yeah,
wanted to
skip
go to
it.
Pittsburgh to
Yeah.
meet the people. And then we meet, and I remember like I expressed, he's saying like, well, what was the things that you think it could be? And immediately I say, I feel this disconnection. Even in a joke, I said, I always thought the Geo Institute Pittsburgh could become like a independent entity from
Right.
ASE. And I think this eventually cannot be a good thing in the long run, right? And that's one of the things that I believe you did successfully when you were president, is that you start changing that. The same way that you reach to Pittsburgh, you reach to many places, and you start becoming that conscious of, let's integrate this and let's connect, that people don't
Yeah.
feel that the Geo Institute
Sure.
local chapter is the end of it, right? And what I do, a lot of the stuff that I do now, like with different presentations when I get invited, it's always trying to emulate what you were doing, in the sense that I go and give a presentation and I say, because of having that conversation with you and the way that GI has changed in recent times, I want to integrate, right? I want to,
Yep.
like, especially when you talk smaller chapters in the school, right? It's like, you are part of the GI, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
you are a key component of GI. Don't ever feel that you are being forgotten. Try to be more involved at the national level, the Geo Congress, and we are there, right? I'm there. Everyone is there, like all of us. So no, that's great.
We
So
actually got some feedback back then. I don't remember whether it was a survey or just feedback in general, but we were looking at how to engage more members. And the original, the old line is, how to get more people at the conference, the national conference. And you realize there's a limit as to how many people can make it to these conferences.
Yes.
It's just logistically isn't feasible for a lot
correct,
of
and
our
the cost,
members.
right?
We
Costs just time to get away from work. It's
Yes,
expensive to
correct.
leave work for a week and come to a conference.
Correct.
And that's where we really start to say we need to be more engaged with the local GI chapters and start bringing these smaller conferences and really supporting the smaller conferences
Yes.
like the Central Pennsylvania
the Central
Conference.
PA in Hershey, which is great.
Yeah,
Yep.
there must be 10 of these small regional conferences that are each getting 200 to 500 people.
I know,
Absolutely.
They get great
And I
turnouts.
love that, and I've been lucky enough to be invited to many of these, and
Yeah.
I absolutely enjoy the process. Like Geo Virginia, for example, or any of this. I was in the Kansas one this year and in Ohio, and it's great when you see this coming together, right? And
Yeah.
and it's great because now you can see a whole transition starting from a small chapter to this regional conference,
Yep.
evolving into a national.
And I'll give credit to Billy Camp and Cord Witzman. They
Yes.
kind of bookended me.
I was gonna say that. I mean,
It's-
those presidencies that it was you, Billy, and then Cord, like you guys absolutely changed.
And it's
the way
because
that
we
things
we
are
got together. You only have a year to do something,
Yeah,
and that's really
right.
not enough to do anything in
Correct, so
ASCE.
you have to share. a
So
view
you
on-
had to work together and create a
Yes,
plan that as you go through those roles, you had to be working on something that was kind of consistent that you could
Yes.
accomplish in those 3 years.
No,
4
and,
years.
I mean, I think it's great. I'm not saying anything negative from the people that was there before of you. I'm sure they have their own challenges and they were solving
Oh, yeah,
different
yeah.
problems.
They all
but
were trying to
in the
accomplish.
modern
Yeah.
times, when we start, I mean, like what you guys have done, and then the work that was continue after that, right?
Mhm.
And people like Jihad right now, and
Yep.
CC before, and and Helen now, it's great. And that's another part that is super interesting for you, which is obviously you were the mentor of Helen for many, many years, right? And it has to be very exciting for you to see now Helen becoming the DFI, like the Geo Institute, right?
Yeah.
So that has to be very, very rewarding. I mean, obviously things in life change with time, right? And she ended up moving to GI, but I'm
Yeah.
sure it's something that brings you a lot of satisfaction to
Yeah.
see how one of the,
And it's been really, I've been involved with some smaller groups, ICOG and International Society for Micropiles. But it's been interesting to see how the different organizations work and serve their members a little
Yes.
differently. There's a different purpose, different focus of each of these organizations.
Yeah.
And it's been great working with each of them and seeing how
So
they.
let's
they-
connect all this to,
Yeah.
to DFI. So how DFI appears for you on the picture, and how do you start doing different things and serving different roles, including where we are today for DFI?
I don't know how I got here. I just had it.
He called me, right?
No, I mean, being active in a lot of the committees, I stayed active with DFI's committees. There's a lot of
But you've
joint
been a member
committees
of
and everything
DFI for how long?
forever,
Forever.
forever,
Yeah.
it seems like, yeah.
And being active on committees, but
That-
never like a committee chair? No, you were committee chair for me.
I was the micropile committee chair for
Micropiles,
a while, so the joint micropile committee. So,
But
that
I
got me
feel,
involved.
I may misinterpret it, but I feel
And I
that-
think the board here looks to try to balance representation across the
Yes,
companies.
correct.
Mary Ellen was a great technical advisor here and I
Absolutely.
was a good friend with her for years. And I think she put my name in the hat a couple times and one year they
Yes.
finally ran out of choices and pulled it out. So
Yeah, he's way too modest. I remember when that happened because it was an important thing, right? To me, I remember when I was like, I thought you already did all that. I assumed that you already
Yeah.
did everything, right? And I realized that no, but it's great. So yeah,
Well,
so you've been now on the board of trustees for how many years?
I think I'm in the 4th year now.
4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, look, it's, you know, with the generation under you, you know, Sebastian, not like, you know, you mentioned Billy, you mentioned Cord, right? And it's, you guys have kind of led by that example of like, you know, you raise your hand, you say, yeah, you know, I remember having a conversation, you know, it's probably gotten me in more trouble than, because now I keep raising my hand and now I keep getting involved in more things, but it's, you know, having been able to watch you guys be so involved in so many different capacities across the industry, you know, GI, DFI, whatever, you know, that now there's an entire wave of us that are the next
Yeah.
generation behind you guys that are
Exciting.
kind of looking at that saying, well, this is just how it works. This is what you have to do. You
I
know,
remember seeing a presentation years ago talking about how do you get volunteers into organizations like this, people to help. The bottom line was you ask. You know, you ask
That's
somebody to do
You
something,
always say that. You always say
They-
that. You ask.
probably won't say no.
Yeah.
You know, unless
Yeah.
there's
Well,
a real reason.
that just happened with that's how I ended up joining Sebastian on I just became on the board for the Academy of Geoprofessions.
Yep.
Yes.
And I had no, like I saw the call for, but it was Ray Franz that reached out to me, said, I think you'd be a good fit for this.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yes.
okay, well, now I'm here. You know what I mean? Like it's an excellent point.
Now you found out what you got yourself into.
I'm not sure if I found out what I got myself into. I'm not sure they know what they got
All right, good,
themselves
good,
into.
good.
Yes. Yes.
'Cause
So
the
that's a
problem is
great group.
when you ask me to be on something, you gotta
You gotta-
bring it
yeah.
on yourself.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Watch out. Here it comes.
So no, but it's good. Look, it's the example again. It can't be understated. The
No,
example.
absolutely. And I don't mean it because you're sitting here and we're recording it, but I mean, you
Yeah.
definitely have been a role model for me on where I want my career and
you.
professional success to go. And not only
Yeah.
on every aspect. I mean, the job that you have done, you know, with Schnabel for many years, and the professional, you're always there a reference. When I start like teaching my 1-day seminar on micropiles and green shop technologies, I always look to the stuff that you were doing when I was growing, right? And you were doing FXWA classes everywhere. I even remember you were taking pictures, even though you're never gonna give the credit, but you were taking pictures at the classes, right?
Yeah.
And that was not something usual. And when I started doing like all the selfies and stuff like that, I always
You
remember.
got pictures of everybody, every icon in the world. You've had
I know.
a
Yeah, picture.
But, you know, but that's but that is also in some respect inspired on you and the love that you have for the profession all on aspects. Like I was talking last week on the Terzaghi Day, like, you know, the Terzaghi Day speech that I was giving to GI. And it's basically you try to, you know, what is the success of geotech engineering? And I look at you as that, like you have combined all the aspects of the profession. You know, you have always have a lot of, you know, you always have found a lot of interest and the importance and relevance of writing papers. I remember once I sent you something because it was amazing. He had like 2 papers on Geostrata, or no, 1 paper in Geostrata and like 2 papers on the DFI magazine, same month.
Right.
Right. So I remember that I sent you an email that time saying like, that's amazing. But you always saw the value on that. You saw the value on teaching, the giving these courses, being involved in conference, professional societies. Also, not only just doing one thing, but trying to cover the spectrum, right? There is, I mean, we all love these societies, and today has been a great example of how we overlap, right, with GI and things like that. And you definitely have shown that way, right?
Thanks.
So,
I think we all hope that throughout our career, we leave a little bit of a mark, a little bit of a legacy.
oh yeah,
That-
Absolutely.
You have done.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You're here for 30 or 40 years, or hopefully 25, 30 years, whatever,
I-
that you want to, you know,
Correct. And I say from the pictures that I have, like, you know, the memories that I do, like the one that we took I think that was in LA a few years ago when you got the Casa Grande Award.
no,
remember? Or
no,
that
it was, oh, shoot. No, you put me on the spot there.
I thought it
Wasn't
was
a
LA.
Casa Grande. I think it was LA, but,
Yeah.
um,
But no, it was not the Casa Grande.
No.
It was the Harris now. No,
So-
it was the.
yeah, it was a Schnabel,
No,
yeah,
Schnabel
now
Award,
we're
yeah.
Novel award.
Correct. And I mean, we took that picture with Sisi, and it's the three
Yeah.
of us.
Sorry, Hank.
Yes. So it's good. I mean, it's nice to, you know, like for me, that picture is important because it's
Yeah.
like you are at your best, right? And getting this
Yeah.
award and getting
That
this
was a
recognition.
great honor. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was an incredible honor.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
awesome. But
So
yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
All right. Well,
This
thank you
is
very much.
terrible, but you got a New Yorker coming up next, so you guys can, you know,
well, yeah, we'll handle him.
wallow in
Yes,
it or
well,
whatever.
Yeah, and the good thing is, so I saw Matt Meyer earlier. Matt was on with us last year. He's like, "Oh, well, what about Ron?" I said, "Well, Matt, here's the good thing." I said, "You've already now been on the show, so it's kind of like jury duty, You're off the hook for many years. You don't have to come back and put up with this anymore.
People, right?
So I'm good
That's
for a
it.
couple years here.
You're good
All
for a
right.
couple of years,
For
man.
a couple of years.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you for having
Thank
me.
you
It's
very
a
much,
pleasure.
Alan.
Thank you for
Appreciate it.
All right. You guys have a great day.
All right.
All right. Now ready to close the day with Tony, right?
Yeah, that's it. Hey, Tony.
Tony. I need to renegotiate his contract.
By all means, move at a glacial pace. You know how much that excites me.
You got like 6 feet before I was disappeared.
What, they opened the bar?
Yes.
Wow. Our show cannot compete with that. So we need
Oh,
to
well,
make
if
it
the
great.
bar's open. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, great career.
Well, you're cutting into the time here.
So here's the thing. We've been very fortunate today with guests, having a whole lot of guests that we don't actually have to introduce because everyone knows who the hell they
Yeah,
are.
today is like
You know,
Are you?
that's it.
Me?
No, you.
Oh, I did.
That's it. Tony Marinucci for everyone.
Yes.
Right behind that blue light is millions of viewers, by the way.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna.
That's it. That's good. No, we're glad you could join us. You know, it's actually kind of funny. As we've looked through for this year and who have we had on the show, who have we not had on. It was actually kind of mind boggling that we haven't had you on.
Yes, correct. I also thought that we have you like in season 2 or something.
Yeah. So,
No,
well, we also,
But in our defense, when we invite you, say, what is that thing? That's more
I think
offensive
we're going to
us.
talk about sports game day. I was like, okay.
we are talking about sports. Mets are up 4-0, friend.
Yeah, I saw the first homer from the polar bear.
That's it. Well, I haven't seen any of the. We're
Well,
gonna have
you were in the wrong meeting room.
Well,
Apparently.
we're gonna have a talk with our senior executive producer Ash, and you know, we picked the wrong time. The Mets
Yes.
are on, but
Should be doing this in the morning. Noon, it
We-
opens up.
I think we did one of the spots last year in the morning.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not-
like the keynote lecture and plenary sessions.
Yeah.
It's, you know.
No, this is nice. We're starting to get the people mulling around. There's a little more energy. You know, so.
Okay, let's go back to Tony.
Yeah,
The
so
man, the
you-
figure, the
oh,
legend.
Yeah. So look, you know, we've had some people that have had pretty straight and narrow career paths and stuff like that. So you fall 180 degrees to the
I
opposite.
fall off
end.
the cliff.
That's
Never
it.
mind
So,
180
I mean,
degrees.
the amount of stuff that you've been involved in your tell us a little bit about how we've gotten from point A to point Z here.
We go back, how everything started.
Go
That's it.
back. How far back? Way back.
Wherever you want to go back,
Alright,
how
well-
you feel things are started. Where is the point that you say, well, this is where things,
All right, I'll start at the end of bachelor, start first position.
long hair Tony, right?
Hair Tony,
Hair.
long hair Tony. So if you can imagine both of
With Tony
those.
stages, long hair Tony.
I had hair. That was great. That was before I knew anything.
Yeah.
I want to go back to those days.
That's what my daughter, we go to the grocery store and if I try and buy alcohol and we're coming through, don't take your license out, Dad. Just turn around and show them your bald spot.
Yes.
Right?
I'm
She's
sure-
a creep.
I'm sure your
Yeah.
daughter's gonna
How many
go
more
opposite.
kids do you have?
That's it.
Well, I was like, oh, you could get rid of that one and have it back.
They broke the mold with her, man. Anyway, we digress.
So yes, well, this will be a show about digression for sure.
Back it up.
Yeah,
We don't have a producer. If the bar's open, we should have someone.
yes, so
Go
we gotta
ahead into
keep
the
this
bar for
moving
us.
because I
We
mean,
should have someone bringing us drinks.
yeah, she cut me off. She's like, I got 3 minutes before we open. I'm like, oh, for the love of God, come on.
Well, get drinks. Well, we need a produce. We don't have a producer this year. Otherwise, we would have had Matt getting us straight. We digress.
We get out.
Again, the
The
digression.
digression. We're hanging on by a thread right
Too
now.
long hair Tony,
Snip.
your bachelor. So you finish your
So
bachelor.
bachelor's I finished in Rhode Island at University of Rhode Island.
All right.
My first job was the Big Dig in Boston, Mass. But
Okay.
I was working for a general contractor, Modern Continental.
Okay.
By far one of the most interesting jobs, career decision, whatever. It was just
Oh,
frenetic.
that was insane.
It was
that
a
whole thing.
frenetic
Yeah,
pace,
absolutely.
high stress, constantly dynamic movement of everything. But it was the world's best playground to be getting your first exposure to whatever is
Yeah.
happening in
Oh,
the industry.
absolutely. I can't imagine.
And working on the construction side, those toys were right there for our, our use, our disposal, climb them, look at them, get into the nitty gritty and really learn
Absolutely.
about what was going on. And after 2.5 years of doing that, I was like, okay, I need to kind of regroup because one night I fell asleep driving home and crashed the car on one side of the road. Another time fell asleep again, crashed it on the opposite side, nearly exactly in the same spot of the highway.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, it was like, okay, there's something about this little stretch of road that's gonna kill me.
That's not good.
It was like when they say your job is trying to kill you, literally it was. Another time driving to work, because I lived in Providence and worked in Boston. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
a
a solid
60,
hour,
70,
yeah.
yeah. No, if you got there early enough, it was an hour.
It
At
was an
that
hour.
time, it was an hour and a half. If you
Yeah,
missed.
fair enough. All right.
So one night, dumped snow, driving down the road to get to work, hit a slick of black ice, spun out off the road, hit the ditch, and rolled side over side and landed on the roof of my car. So the car was upside down, wheels up, literally wheels up.
I understand now why you have no hair.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, my parents should have no hair, given that I am what I am.
Well, we want to digress. What the hell is going on over there?
It's a state of different dress. Speaking of
Oh, I
digress.
thought we just got into a furry convention. Is what's going on over there?
Right, so you work there.
So I left the biggest playground ever, and I went to work for a small consulting firm, which was probably the worst decision I've made. I've made a lot of bad decisions. And so I left that a couple of years later, went to work for Schnabel Foundation Company in Philadelphia. That's where I met Alan.
Okay.
Where we were first introduced,
All right.
2000. So start working there. That was great. And due to an MVA, due to a motor vehicle accident, driving home one day, got rear-ended, needed to go out for a back operation, which should have taken 4 to 6 weeks of recovery.
We're 4 minutes into the interview and we're already up to the 7th accident here. Like, how are you insured at this point?
I'll have money placed on what's next.
Sorry, I keep digressing.
And literally, I put the money on me getting hurt.
Like, yeah, never mind.
Before, while I still had here, we went skiing. The one time I went skiing,
Right.
and my buddy's like, "Oh, this will be great. We'll teach you how to ski." Great, okay.
Yep.
And I'm like, "All right. So who's got money on what's going to happen?" He goes, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I got $50 on me going home in the ambulance." And he's like, "You're kidding." I'm like, "Here's my $50." I'm like, "I'm going home in the ambulance." His girlfriend went home with a torn up ACL and MCL. It was like, and she was a skier. I'm like, all right, so being dumb actually works sometimes.
There you go. All right.
So yes, if it's to be done, I used to do it.
There you go.
Well, now,
So I'm in Schnabel Foundation Company. Then I needed to go out for a back operation. That turned out to be a much longer process.
All right.
So while I was after operation 2, multiple therapies, still in therapy, I started going back and doing masters, finished my
at that
MS.
time you went, the MS was in UT Austin?
No, my MS was in Northeastern in Boston.
Sorry. And
Then I did my MBA at Northeastern, finished it at University of Rhode Island.
Okay.
And then after that, a dear friend of mine, Bill Kovacs, who's professor of geotech, convinced me to go and get a PhD as a backup plan.
yes,
So I was like, okay, that's an interesting.
I've never heard that one before.
yes, correct.
I was like, all right, not exactly what I was
It's
thinking.
not much effort, so as a backup could be.
Yeah. Yeah, if I had only known.
Yes,
In retrospect, was that decision worth it?
absolutely, right?
Many years later, yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
So I moved to Austin, I do my PhD. It's my relaxing time. I'm remodeling my house while kids in university are floating down the river. I'm rebuilding my deck.
There you go. All right.
So finished there. I go to work at ADSC because that was at the tail end of the downturn in 2008.
Yep.
The economic downturn.
Yep.
So a lot of the folks here were not hiring in 2009, 2010.
There was not a lot of hiring. There was
no.
not. Yes.
So I went to work at ADSC, nonprofit organization. From there, I went to work at American Equipment.
Mhm.
And then I was like, okay, I'm done working for people. I started my own consulting firm until April 2021, where I get a cold email from somebody at Google asking me if I wanted a job at Google. And
I always wondered how that happened. I didn't know if you were like recommended there or like how you got hooked up with
it is,
If I
it's
can-
an interesting
Oh,
story.
God, I think it's a spam.
So the first day I get this email and it's maybe 3 sentences long of, hey, my name is Kelly, I'm interested, wanted to know if you're interested. It was like very short and sweet. And I was like, all right.
it almost sounds like the email of the guys that are trying to sell me the contact lists
Yes,
for,
correct.
for the conference.
Hi, I'm a
right? Yeah.
Nigerian prince and we've got $10 million with your name all over it.
Here's an inheritance for you. We can't get a hold of the people,
But send
so we'll call
200
you.
bucks and I'll send you this.
Yeah, exactly. So I let it sit there because the tail end of the attachment said at google.com and not at Gmail. So I was like, oh, all right, I'll let it sit here. I'll look into this and got busy what I was working on.
Right.
The next day, the email was like maybe, a full 8.5 by 11.
Right.
And it was like, oh, I reached out, I was talking to a mutual friend, Dr. Donald Bruce.
Got it. Yep.
Donald Bruce was like, oh,
Okay.
here's the description. Oh, you need to reach out to this guy. He matches the description.
Yeah.
And then she listed like 6 other people, many of whom are here. I was like, all right, this is not a generic.
This is a thing. This is,
This
a
is
thing
a
now.
legit.
Got it.
It's like you cannot pull these names together and stick them in one spot.
Yeah, this wasn't some AI chat bot pumping this
Yeah,
out. Right.
exactly.
Okay.
So we go through that, all the interviews and stuff, and then I start working at Google, and it's been literally a learning curve that's maybe 90 degrees,
Yeah.
maybe 90.2 or 89.7, somewhere in there.
No, I know. I mean, you
3.5 years. I'm hoping that the curve starts to bend at some point.
Well, I know. We've talked on some projects, just picking my brain, talking different things, and yeah, every time we talk in that capacity, you're involved in something totally different.
Yeah, every day
Trying
is
to accomplish something totally different.
every day is slightly different
Yeah.
direction, different objectives, different everything, which is that exactly works for me. Which is probably why, and thankfully so, Don Bruce was like, no, that's the crazy guy you need to.
Yeah,
talk
right.
to."
Right. You guys need a lunatic.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically. Yeah.
And sure enough, and that's who I am.
So I
And
guess-
that's where it brings us today.
Yes, and I guess, obviously we have talked.
So
we're
nice
good friends
linear
with-
path.
That's it.
We're good friends with Tony and we have talked about this, but for the people watching, they don't know it. So one of the first questions when Tony told me he was working for Google, I was like, what the hell are you doing?
I'm a
Because
coder.
Yeah, like,
That's it.
what?
My little nifty fingers
Yeah,
taping
so,
away at
so
the
why don't you
keyboard.
give the explanation? In general, obviously you do with a lot of things that cannot be shared, but for those that can be shared, why don't you give a quick explanation of what exactly you do?
Yeah, so I'm the geotech and foundations engineer for Google on their data center projects, working on delivering technical infrastructure. So we take nothing and we develop an entire campus to help take the cloud from the sky and put it on the ground.
Right.
Correct.
So
But
we're
now,
bringing
how
all
does-
services, everything in.
But
And
I guess part of what I remember you explained is how does Google, and again, on the stuff that you can share, because I know you cannot share some stuff, but how does Google typically work on this? You have like a contractor and a designer, and then what you are doing is, you are looking all the process, making sure that everything is done fine. You do the reviews from the consultants, making sure that, that is proper, and that's pretty much, right? You are the only geotech that Google has, correct?
I am the first one.
Or the
Now
first.
there's 2.
Okay.
So we have somebody that's based in Dublin office. He's
Dublin, England.
no,
Dublin,
Ireland.
Ohio?
Ireland.
Okay, sorry.
The other
I thought I was
thing-
thinking Dublin, Ohio.
Do I sit here and insult Columbia the whole show? Like
You-
Dublin's in Ireland.
Columbia
Yeah,
University.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Or Columbia, South Carolina, right?
So yeah, typical of many projects everywhere. On the hyperscale side, we have teams that, are focused on site acquisition, energy strategies. Once that site is procured, the parcel, it moves into our planning phase,
Mhm.
pre-construction, then design, then construction. And then once it's operational, we'll do modifications, upgrades, et cetera.
Uh-huh.
So the team I'm on, we span everybody end to end.
Okay.
So we provide tech support to all the teams.
Due diligence,
Due diligence,
purchase,
yes,
construction,
everything.
the whole.
yes. So
Got
they lean on us to provide them the technical know-how to be able to de-risk the
Each
project site.
step in the phase.
Yes,
Each
everywhere.
phase along
Yeah.
the way. Yeah. Okay.
So we
No, I know
review,
that description because he said, and you have explained it to me many times, like he de-risked the process, right? He
That's-
looks
Yeah.
critical.
No,
What can go wrong? And
that's a
I
good
think
way
he
to put
did
it.
that.
We de-risk it from a cost perspective, from a schedule perspective, from a performance perspective, and an operational perspective.
Yeah.
So how do we keep, once we get this thing moving, how do we keep it rolling without turning the money machine off,
Yeah, correct.
essentially?
Okay.
We are a for-profit company.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's
Alright.
that's very interesting. And I mean, moving into other things, your DFI career, because I think that one is also very interesting. Like how did it started? And I know you have passed through many multiple roles within the organization, from the magazine editors during some years and growing into trustees, or what I'm saying. It's a lot of committees and things like that. So how everything started, and
Yeah,
how has been the journey?
I think if memory serves, it was either 1996 or 1997 when I first joined DFI.
Wow.
Yeah, that was way back.
That is
One of the first efforts that I, was reviewing and, involved with was the AugerCast manual, the design and construction manual that's probably on iteration number 5 or something
Sure.
at this point. I think it was Kirk McIntosh was, heading the committee at the time. And it was like, oh, I'll take a look through, and started
Yeah.
reviewing. It was like, oh, okay. And just added, whatever, my non-understanding of anything at that point in,
Right.
my career, going, oh, sure, I'll add comments. And then you go, oh, what is this? And, as always told to me by professors and more so by family was, well, if you're going to get involved, get involved.
Yeah, right.
So, you're going to get wet.
Kind of like
get
what we
wet.
were just talking about with Alan. Like,
yes,
just
correct.
full steam ahead no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, it's like you'll figure it out as you go.
That's it.
And so I got involved with those two, but I had been a member of ASCE since 1993.
Okay.
So while I was still an undergrad, so my first conference was to a GI conference.
Yes.
And where the first people I met were contractors.
Okay.
George Burke, contractor, Kevin Sharp, those two gentlemen, Vern Schaefer, professor.
Yep.
They welcomed me, asked me what, if this was first meeting, and just brought me in,
That's it.
and just was like, oh, wow, this guy's a vice president. This guy, wow, what?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
know,
Who am I surrounded by right
Yeah. And then the next meeting I went to was an ADSC meeting.
Yeah.
And where it was predominantly contractors. And the first person I met there was Tom Armour, who was the president of DBM, contractors out of the Northwest. And, welcomed me in, walked me around, introduced me to everybody. And I was like, wow, this is a really welcoming group of people. And then you get to know people, create friendships and everything over 20 years. And, it's just very welcoming, very, everything you need is here, technology wise, educational wise, but the friendships that you create, they last.
Yep.
And that's probably the best piece that I've taken out of all of this.
No, that's great.
You get what you give.
And I'm always happy to see like your growth and all the roles that you have served, right? I mean, it's great on the DFI. It's really lucky to have somebody like you that has taken the initiative in so many things. I remember when you start being the editor of the magazine, because I think it's after Helen, and Helen was doing a really good job. And then you took it and you continue and grow it, and it's very helpful.
Yeah, so it's been a very interesting nearly 30 years since coming out as
amazing.
undergrad.
Which
Yeah.
is the one part that is like your age. Like you absolutely don't, like if people start like adding it, like, wait a minute, like how can he be doing that?
He's really old.
Like, he doesn't look his age at
The
all.
fact that you have no hair left aside, you look like a young
Hey,
guy.
this is
I know.
22 years in the making.
It looks like a choice. You see, more than it's a style, more than
Oh,
I did this on a dare. So
Exactly.
I was another story.
yeah, we got to turn the cameras off for that. I had some earrings, and I actually got that means dirt is life. You want to talk about a dare? I got that drunk at Mardi Gras, but that again another story.
Well, I was home recuperating from my back operation. I mean, I could walk like steps of 6 inches.
Yeah,
And my neighbor came over and she's like, she came over to check in and we're bologna and stuff. And she goes, you look good with a shaved head. I'm like, get the out of here kind of deal. And so she left and I was like, you know what the hell with this? I found the clippers and just
right down the middle and went, there's no going back now.
No, no,
And
absolutely
then
not.
mom came home and she's looking, she's like,
hell did you do?
What the hell happened to you? It's
Rough-
like you slipping.
rough-
What the
Rough,
hell?
rough day. Don't ask. All right.
Oh, yeah, they were like, what the? I'm like, I'm like, I was gonna do it. I'm like, you start in the middle and go up. I'm like, cause at the sides you can feather it and figure it out.
Yeah, you
Start
got
in the middle, you're all in.
you got to commit. Yeah.
You're in.
All right. Tony, I think you're going to be rescued by the band here.
I can make more noise.
Time to go get a drink. So, look, man, we appreciate ending the day with you. We
Yeah,
appreciate
this was fun.
joining us.
This was fun.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right, man.
Thank you, sir.
Well, so I think that's it for today. We'll be back, what, 2:30 tomorrow? I think we're live at 2:30. I believe that's the
Same
case.
bat time.
Same bat time. That's it. All right. So to the millions of viewers, we appreciate you sticking with us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Put it in. Bye.